Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast. The same as the old podcast, for the most part.
New podcast name, new podcast. Nobody's gonna stop me, really? You're just gonna let me keep
I was just gonna let it slide and peter out until its eventual failure.
God, I should have just kept going.
The more you fill the show, the less we have to think. It's wonderful.
More dancing.
Yes, all of those things. Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast. We occasionally talk about video games, formerly known as the Game Station Podcast. The Game Station, as some of you may not be aware, no longer exists. It has been renamed to Polaris. However, the attempts to get me to call this the Polaris Podcast were met with failure when I pointed out accurately that then people would just call it PP. Exactly.
The PP? Yeah,
and
no.
that is exactly why I decided not to call it that.
What? Whatever. The PP podcast would have been great. We could have called it the PP podcast with the Biscuit Buddies. My favorite choice,
Biscuit and Friends,
was Biscuit Buddies.
Biscuit Buddies.
Biscuit Buddies sounds so good.
It's just
We'd be the PPBBs.
Oh god, it sounds like a horrible children's TV show. It's not acceptable.
This is awful.
This is the reason why I don't listen to your ideas, Jesse.
I am already getting congratulations on Facebook on the success of my life for being on this show.
Considering the previous people have had on this show, I have no idea why. But never mind.
I think it was mostly because of the PPBBs.
Yes, that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing that on... I'm trying to think of a name for a kids' TV channel. I'm coming up blank for obvious reasons. Noggin. Yes, that was the name of it. Noggin. That's it.
Of course.
Yes.
My favorite.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that is where Yo Gabba Gabba is aired, alongside other wonderful things.
If you want to see a video that's offensive that you shouldn't watch with your children, many years ago, I took a Kanye West song unedited and put it together with Yo Gabba Gabba and made a video and put it on a YouTube channel before I had a YouTube. So it's out there on a secret channel. You should watch it. It has Elijah Wood going like this while F words are being used in the background.
Incredible.
To this day, I get messages from angry parents who are like, "What is this?"
How dare you corrupt?
Yes. Enjoy that, internet.
Amazing.
Indeed. So, Dodger, welcome to the show. What's been going on?
It feels like it's been forever.
You were in a box selling out for a while.
I was in a box selling out, being super corporate. Yeah, that was like probably one of the weirdest things I've ever agreed to do. But it was at the same time the same thing that I normally do. I was just in a fake room doing it. I was like, this is weird. And basically just sit there and talk at a camera. I'm pretty good at that. So I had to do that 8 hours a day from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yep.
And that was super exciting. So I did that last week. And now I'm getting ready to move. And I went to Comic-Con. There's been so much. But I'm glad to be back.
Excellent.
Thank you for having me.
Jesse, congratulations on waking up this morning.
Hi. How are you?
So I heard you got yourself into quite a food coma last night.
Let's just say, when suspicious characters offer you baked goods, you should wonder, what's in this baked good?
And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, we don't eat things that are sent in by viewers.
Oh no!
Precious Jesse.
'Twas no viewer who sent me that. 'Twas a friend or former friend. No longer.
Oh my.
So yes, that was an experience. So I am up now.
Great.
At noon.
Good, I'm glad to hear that.
Oh.
And our special guest, who is part of a show called Extra Credits and does many, many more things. I'll give him the chance to introduce everything that he does, as he can do it better than I. James Portnow, welcome to the show.
Yay!
Hey, everybody. So, introducing myself. What do I do? I'm a game designer. I've worked on games ranging from the Call of Duty series to Farmville. I run a game design consulting firm. I hold a professorship down at DigiPen. I write extra credits on Penny Arcade. I just launched Games for Good, which is a campaign to sort of change the dialogue around games from why games aren't bad to what good can games do, because I think there's so much more we can get out of this medium, and we have to stop having it be the whipping boy for everything. And other than that, I gallivant around the world talking about education and how we can use games to do something more.
God, you're so much more legit than any of us.
Yeah. So it's like, so what do we do? Well, we sit around talking about video games most of the day, and then we cash the paycheck, and then we sell out to Target. It's wonderful.
Yep.
Hold on. I think I have a valuable message for the kids.
Oh, dear.
Out there.
Oh, after your last valuable message for the kids.
Yes. No, okay.
I just want to point out, by the way, Jesse was a former teacher and educator of the youth, which is why the U.S. education system is in such shambles. But please
It's all
continue.
Jesse's fault.
Well, I went to a lot of meetings. They had me do a lot of talks. Like, what should we do, Mr. Cox? And I was like, give them paperwork and go drink. That's America.
America.
That was the educational message for the kids.
Was that the
Oh no, I was saying that I feel like I'm connecting with them, with the kids.
Yep.
But he's disconnecting from the call.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but I'm sure
I was
we will.
like, oh, you're frozen.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have him back momentarily.
Just a minute.
This is probably just an excuse for him to get out of it. Anyway, as we continue on with the show, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast. We occasionally talk about video games. The format is essentially identical to what we did previously, so you can expect the first hour to be about games we have been playing this week. James claims we don't know a single one of them. I consider that a challenge, so we'll see just how obscure they might be.
I don't know if I said not a single one. I just said I don't know how interested people might be in the crazy indie business that, like, so I, in my days, block out at least 15 minutes a day to play something I haven't tried ever. And so some of the stuff I get is kind of far afield.
Sounds good to me.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
I'm cool with that. It's like, yeah, we're playing a bit more Assassin's Creed 3. It's been really interesting. Right, no, we'll go with that. That sounds like a plan. Trying to get Jesse back is always hilarious.
Come on, Jesse.
Lost him so early. Lord.
Yeah. Earlier
than usual. I usually lose his attention span about 30 minutes into the show, but we've only been on for 10, so I don't know about that. Oh well, I'm sure we'll get him back eventually. So I guess we will start the way that we usually do by talking about what we've been playing this week. At that point, we will take a break, and after that, we'll be talking about the news, of which there is quite a lot, it would seem. So we'll be covering that and seeing how that goes. And after that's done, we'll have a look at some trailers. We have some interesting stuff, to say the least. Excellent, Jesse's back. And
Yay!
yeah, fun times. And we will also discuss a few host topics. And then we'll round off the show. Simple as that, really. The Twitch is being particularly bad today, so there's not really a huge amount we can do about that. But that's why we put the VOD up on YouTube. So let us begin, shall we, talking about what we've been playing this week. Well, Dodger, I don't think you've had any time to play anything this week, by the sounds of it.
I haven't played anything aside from
House.
my normal things. I played House like a 4-year-old. Lots of Battle Cats since I haven't been home. And then after I went to Comic-Con, at Comic-Con they had this huge TF2 chess set. And
yes.
I kept going back and looking at it because I was trying to figure out whether or not you could remove the tops that denoted like which chess piece they were, and you totally can. You can swap them, and it comes with like totally different rules, and that got me excited about TF2. So I came home and played a bunch of TF2. But you're right, I haven't been
successful. Well done.
But I haven't really been playing a lot of new stuff.
You know, I noticed you kind of slipped in Battle Cats in there without explaining remotely what you were talking about.
I couldn't remember if I've talked about Battle Cats before.
I don't recall you doing that.
Battle Cats is great. It's a free game, and it's on your phone. And let's see.
Done it now.
It's great. It's a great game. I don't know whether or not you'll be able to see it, but
in very, very low resolution, probably. Yes, you can give it a try.
So,
well, I see the word cats. That's a start.
Yeah, Battle Cats, and these are all a bunch of cats. The story of it is that we decide that the best sort of army that we can make that nobody will want to fight is a bunch of cats. So we like genetically mutate all of these crazy cats and send them out into battle. But then our enemies have like genetically crazy like dogs and things that we fight against. So this is the main menu, and we're opening it up to the map, and then we hit battle.
That
and
is the dumbest looking cat I've seen in a long time.
I know, isn't it great? And then, and so this is what it looks like, and you have to like manage your resources and figure out which cats you need at any given moment.
This is some crazy Japanese game, isn't it? Because this looks super derpy.
I don't know who made this game, but it's brilliant, and it's
by Pornos, it would seem.
And I love it. I love this game so much. I've upgraded all of my cats all the way, so they've all like transformed into new cats, and it's just okay. I'm gonna stop. It's really really fun. One of the cats that you can get is basically like hot lady legs, but with a cat body on top. And she like walks out there very slowly and then kicks your enemies back so they can't get to your base. It's great. This game is amazing. So I think everybody should play it.
That sounds incredible. I'm watching the very slowly scrolling backstory of this. Half of it appears to be misspelled.
Oh yeah. It's most.
Why the new weapon is cat? He answered, "I love pussycats." I know, it's insane. Oh dear. I'm trying to find some gameplay. Apparently this is a story trailer that goes on for a long time. The HD gameplay trailer is 20 minutes long.
Yeah, but the story trailer, the story is important.
Question.
Yes, Jesse?
The premise of this game is that the Japanese people are too peaceful, and so America is like, hey, dum-dums, stop making peace and make death cats? I don't...
What? No. We made death cats and sent them to Japan. Because we think the Japanese? We think that the Japanese won't fight against the cats because the cats are too adorable and love cats too much.
So wait, are we playing as Americans fighting Japanese cats?
I think we are America fighting Japan.
So the premise of this game is we're sending in nuclear cats to invade Japan. Yes. And that's the premise?
Yep.
Essentially,
I'm fairly sure it's made in Japan.
Wait.
It's the weirdest game, but it's very fun.
You have played worse, Jesse. Come on.
I was about to say, I just spent all week playing a game made in Japan about like first century China, where all of it's rock music and stuff. So yeah.
In other words, you played Dynasty Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors.
Yes.
Yeah.
The new one's so good. Shh. It's the exact same, but it's so good. It's so good.
I haven't played it yet. I bought it though.
There's been a surprising amount of positive remarks about the new Dynasty Warriors game. I mean,
yes.
I read Jim Sterling's report on it, and I'm like, well, Jim Sterling's a massive Dynasty Warriors fanboy, so I'm not really sure if I can take that seriously. But he's like, no, it's actually an improvement. Like,
it really is. You can have multiple weapons now, so you can do all sorts of like combo switches and stuff, which is wonderful.
Yeah, they need that.
Oh yes, and the story is pretty much the same, but they have two modes. So there's story mode, which is like every map you only get to choose between certain people to play.
Yeah. But
then there's also a mode that's like you're taking over the world mode, so you can play as whoever the hell you want. That's not free mode, so it's sort of like the Dynasty Warriors Empires or whatever it was in there. Like a not really version, but it's fun. It's fun. And then you can play as all the characters, and then, they added new characters. And then everyone, this is wonderful.
This still very much sounds like something that someone that didn't really follow the Dynasty Warriors series would have no interest in playing.
Oh, I mean, no. If you, there's a lot of moments where I'm like, if you hadn't played the last 7, you would have no clue what was happening right here.
I'm wondering that because like the story like continues to try to expand or like references itself. I'm like, God, but it's getting to the point now where like only Dynasty Warriors fans can play these games.
So the problem with that series is from the outset, the target audience was actually people in Asia who had read Three Kingdoms because, it's such a common, and the game makes so much more sense if you've read it, but that assumption is there and still to this day persists. It's just worse now.
Yeah. Because there's some things like there's characters that in this one that they mention events, that if you hadn't either read it or experienced it in a previous game, like one of my favorite ones is the Zhao Yun baby little story, right? Where he's like, I'm running through an omelet with the baby. And I feel like this one, they're like, oh yeah, no, just throw that in there. And so like you have to run back and like Handman's like, oh master, it's amazing. But everything's like really half-ass referenced. Like they, if you saw, I think it was Red Cliff.
Yeah, Red Cliff, which is fantastic, I might add.
They basically verbatim steal that entire movie for that chunk of the game. And so they even have like the scenes where they're all plotting together and like cutscenes. And I'm like, they really are happy about themselves that this became really popular all of a sudden. So
well, Red Cliff again is one chapter or close to three chapters of Three Kingdoms, right? So that work is so pervasive in a lot of this stuff. So second, like PSA for the kids, go read Three Kingdoms. Awesome.
If you don't have time for that, then watching Red Cliff is not the worst thing you could do. It's actually very, very good indeed. I enjoyed that immensely. I did also watch the extended version, which is about 4.5 hours long, and it's was
still
worth
good.
It.
It's still good. Yeah.
Is Three Kingdoms not like super dense?
Three Kingdoms is.
Fairly.
I mean, it's like any saga, right? Like it's got a lot of lists of names, but other than that, I mean, it's like I'm actually looking at my bookshelf. It is 2 books worth, 2 paperback books, that size. So it's not too bad. It's shorter than the Lord of the Rings.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Fair.
If you can do Tolkien, you can do.
I can't read Tolkien.
But the thing is that in like the Romance of Three Kingdoms, the best part is all those names that are listed eventually get really awesome deaths, like that are hilarious, like just over the top, like deaths that you're like, wait, how did he die again? Like that doesn't seem possible. It's wonderful. Like he got a boil, and the boil bled, and he bled to death from the boil coming out of his eye. And it's like, what? It's amazing. So. It's a good read. And it makes...
Cao Cao is the man. Cao Cao is so awesome in the books. And
I love how they make him the straight-up villain in the games. Like, they're like, he's the bad guy. In the games, he's the bad guy. It's like, is he? Whatever. F it. Screw the purple team, go so. Shoe. And you're just like, yay, go Shoe. I love it.
God, those games were a blast, though.
Yeah, so the new one's great, and they changed a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of the same, and it looks graphically like, you can tell it's kind of similar to the last one, so you know they're like, wait till 9 when it's on the PlayStation 4, and then you're just like, yes, all the dust particle effects. But the thing they did, they made the weapons, they made all the different weapons actually move differently now, so you know how there's usually like multiple variations of a spear, right? Well, they have the spears that like wobble like the worming spears, and they have like the ones that are like there's multiple spears now. They like up the ante a bit.
Incredible upgrade to the series. Multiple spears. Exactly what I was looking for. You know, that's what pushed me over the edge to getting that.
It's worth that.
I don't know. I mean, it's not that I don't like the idea behind it. I very much like the idea behind Dynasty Warriors. I just feel that it was so poorly executed every single time. Like, I genuinely feel like 99 Nights, the original, was better than any of the Dynasty Warriors games in terms of just how well they executed the combat. It was hard as balls, and it was definitely unfair in places, but in terms of you are a superpowered hero that cuts his or her way through thousands of foot soldiers at a time, I think that 99 Nights did it better than Dynasty Warriors did, because it just had a better moveset, it had more enjoyable combat, the AI wasn't brain dead most of the time. You know,
but that's one of the joys of Dynasty Warriors, is just like standing there and having them like walk up to you and be like,
they're afraid of you because you're
sitting here, just hit me. It's the worst, best.
You're legendary warrior Hung Guy. That's not how you pronounce his name really, but that's how I like to pronounce it. Hung Guy. And they're like,
something's wrong.
Oh, I don't know if we can fight this guy. And you're like,
and then you just slash through like 12 of them.
I'm telling you, if you need to play Dynasty Warriors, I think it's 4 was the last time they used the wrong pronunciations. So that's when you get great names like Cal P and Hung Guy and just all these great, like, now they're like, Shao P, and I'm like, oh, you're trying. Stop it. Stop it. It was funny before.
Oh. Yes.
I might try it. I don't know. I mean, I always wanted to dip into it every now and again, and then just didn't bother.
Did you ever play Blade Storm back at the beginning of like the PS3
Played the
era?
demo, and I never got around to buying the full game of it. I've heard mixed things about it.
So it wasn't actually good, but it had a bunch of really interesting design innovations that I keep wishing Dynasty Warriors would use. Like, that's like, what, 4, 5, 6 years old now? I also keep wanting Dynasty Warriors to go to other ages because, like, the 100 Years War Dynasty Warriors was awesome. But
Yeah, I was about to say, that was pretty great.
But then again, then they'd have to make whole new assets, right? Now they can just retexture them a little bit, and
Make the
here's 20
fifth
new guys
Dynasty
to play.
Warriors Gundam game or whatever.
Wasn't the Warriors Orochi 3 Hyper is just
one?
that's the game you want, because that game is like, we're gonna time travel to all you like this character from the series they're in. Screw it, they're in. It's like, now this I can play, and then the bad guy's a demon dragon, so that seems historical.
Oh my goodness.
Not a series I think I'll be spending too much time with.
What else have you played, Jesse?
Oh, bother. I am loving Omicron the Nomad Soul. Hooray,
game's
David
insane.
Cage. And so that's fun. Trying to think what else. I have Magic 2014 on my desktop. I've been dicking around with that a little bit. I find it very funny that now, like, it's like, this is the Chandra game, so
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, we felt that this game needed a face. Like, really? I'm more interested in the cards, but they have a face.
So there's a story to it
Seal
now.
plays killer, though. Like, that's the best thing they've ever put in a Magic game. Outside of the original Magic by Microprose, which was fantastic. Yeah.
So good.
Wow,
If you
the
don't have
idea of
that
just
game,
like,
you love Magic.
yeah, exploring to find cards and having like an overworld and things like that. It was amazing. That was insane.
not even gonna
I wish
lie.
they remade that.
I know that I missed a few of the betas here and there, so I'm not nearly as far as most people in it. But Final Fantasy 14, I'm starting to dig that thing. Like
A lot of people are saying that it's a
lot.
huge
People really
improvement.
like it.
Yeah.
I did
I
not
have-
think I would.
So I have to get to it. It's not one I've gotten to try yet. What's different? What have they revamped?
I didn't play anything but like an early demo of the first version, and I remembered like 5 minutes in being like, this is garbage. And so this time, it just feels a lot more fluid. It feels more like Final Fantasy 11, just but simplified, and less like an overcomplicated mess of like, you have to do this in order to do this and this. But they keep you constantly doing things. But I think a lot of MMOs, like, eventually you just like pressing one button spam to get stuff done. This, like, for example, as a mage, if you cast, like, when you first start, you by level 10 you get like 4 spells, and those 4 spells all have to interact with each other in order for you to be effective. So you're like, if you are casting fire, if you cast fire once, you get like fire orbies around you, and those, the more you cast a fire spell, the more damage it does over time. But it also drains more mana. So if you keep casting, you're just
No, it's just like
destroying
Arcane Blast
people.
in
Yeah.
World of Warcraft.
So you're just destroying people, and then you have to switch to ice, and so ice will then put an icy orby thing around you, and that gain mana back. And so eventually you get a
This
thing where
really
you,
is like, wow. They really did nick a few elements from that.
And so then you have another one which lets you switch between those 2 auras, because of course if you switch to ice, you have one time where you don't have any orbies up. And so you have to like switch back and forth, and then they have like they basically stole all these great elements from other MMOs and were like, let's put it in here and just really simplify it. And the gameplay is much more fluid now. The world's better. They stole the rift system, which I think is hilarious. So now there are battles that like appear at random places, but it's against either waves of monsters that are attacking something, or like a named monster. And there was a named Cactar. First off, they look hilarious. And so they run in, and then you get like the whole battle music, and it's everyone joined together. And I think the music sells the game. The music's so good. I feel like they took music from other Final Fantasy games. I can't prove this yet, but they took like the best ofs and either redid them or I don't know. But it's fantastic, and I honestly didn't think I would like it. But I think I'm only level 21, 22, so I can't say for sure if it's actually any good, because I'm one of those people like, when I get to end game, then I can tell you if
exactly.
it was good.
Yeah.
So right now it's fun, but I can't say the end game will be any different than the end game of Final Fantasy XI, which was like 120 people need to take down a flying saucer, and it's gonna take you 12 hours. Enjoy. No.
Although to be fair, many people really liked that element to it. You know, they just
It's
said.
true.
what
I had
they
a good friend who used to say that Final Fantasy XI was the best game ever made after you'd put 120 hours in.
It really got. I enjoyed it because it had a story that was better than, dare I say, better than the Star Wars Old Republic story. It was really good story that went over 3-4 expansions before they went to a new story arc. But it was so good because every time you thought you beat it, there was like another layer of like, hey, guess what? Those guys who are your friends, they were fucking using you the entire time. Like that kind of stuff. It was so good. And you're just like, I gotta keep playing. Even though this game, even though I picked a Dragoon and no one likes me in their party, I still gotta keep playing. That was 2 years of my life. And then WoW came along, and I was like, well, I don't need anyone for this.
Yeah, pretty much. That sounds like WoW in a nutshell, even more so now. The missus is playing more WoW these days, and just like, so what guild are you raiding with? Oh, I'm not. I don't need a guild to raid anymore. I just do pickup raids. Like, oh, great. That sounds wonderful.
By the way, San Diego Comic-Con, big shout out to Blizzard, because they had some of the best swag there. By far.
Oh my gosh, I'm the worst roommate in the world. My roommates were texting me and they were like, look, there are Zerglings that turn into Banelings, that turn into Zerglings, and if you can get one,
swag.
Get us one. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go over there right now and see like what the sitch is for these. And of course it said, restocking. And I was like, I'm assuming you're not gonna restock these today. And they were like, no, we'll have these back in here in the morning, but come early because they normally don't last more than 30 minutes. And I was like, oh God. So I got there super early, got in line, was like, all right, I'm ready. And did not get one.
They had those little chibi like Sylvanuses that were very like disturbingly evil cute. The thing that I loved is they had the lanyards that were the purple lanyards that was like epic lanyard of center of attention or whatever it was. It was like, by equipping this, you become a center of attention. And that was amazing. And then they had all the guys who write all the books there. And so I got them to sign a book in the most over-the-top way possible by writing me, I think you saw this, right?
Me?
Yeah. It's a children's book, but it's signed by all the writers and artists, but they're all writing me old Civil War letters. And so it's like, dearest Jesse, the war of Pandarian aggression. It's so funny. The first 3 pages are all letters. It's amazing. It's like, you guys have too much time. But I had a blast. So good on them. They rocked it. It was weird. I don't know if they had anything to promote. they were just there selling stuff. I was like, okay,
People were tripping balls.
I heard there was a bit of Hearthstone there, but not too much. We still don't know. I got an email last week, I believe, where they're just mass emailing fan sites and influencers saying that, if you wish to get into the public beta, then register with us, but I don't know how indicative that is of when that's actually happening. I know Friends and Family Alpha has already begun, but that could last for an indefinite amount of time. So,
Years.
I don't know what's going on.
And I guess we finally got a clip of a movie.
Yes,
WoW
apparently,
movie?
which
Yep.
No one will see.
No one managed to somehow sneak a filming of that in. Nobody.
I haven't been able to find.
There's not a single
anything.
clip. No one managed to get out a cell phone and film that bloody clip. Nobody. I'm convinced it never happened. I'm convinced that what happened is they got people in a room and then they paid them all to claim that there was a clip for this movie played. Because there's no way in a million years that would not have got out some way if they hadn't. It's a conspiracy, I tell you.
Amazing.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Look, I've always said for years, the reason why you have to have those authenticators is because Blizzard's hacking your own account to make you spend $6 to buy an authenticator. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's why it is.
It's definitely not an evil Asian conspiracy. What are they going to do?
Evil Asian conspiracy. That's nice, isn't it? No stereotypes there.
We got to start this podcast out right. I want it to be tainted forever as the one thing that is
Nice. I rebranded the show hoping to get away from the
conspiracy.
casual racism, and you bring it right back into the spotlight. Thank you for that. Oh, man.
I'm trying to
Talk
think
about
what
a
else.
game where Americans use cats to kill Japanese people. I mean, come on.
Fair. Okay, fair
We're
assessment.
killing your cats that are killing dogs.
Oh, that makes it totally
Japanese-
better. Thanks for that.
It's not
Japanese
weird.
dogs? What is...
I'm trying to think of what else was at Comic-Con that was like
Gaming related.
The other big gaming thing that most of the people that I know were really interested in was standing in line to play Dark Souls 2.
Okay.
And they all did it multiple times, so apparently it was fun.
Evidently.
Also, the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, like, not hidden away, were just, like, there, and people were playing on them, which
Yeah,
I
you
thought
could
was
just
really
play on
funny. I was like,
Yeah.
E3, not so much. Here, look at them, touch them, feel them, do what you want to them.
Just
Yeah, they're getting to that point where they're willing to actually show the bloody things, which is nice. There was actually an Xbox One, or at least we think it was an Xbox One. It was most likely a PC in a box that was at MLG with Killer Instinct. But there was only one of them, so yeah, it didn't go
Gotcha.
down too well. I
That
believe
was-
that there were a couple of panels there as well. Xbox did a panel. They talked about the Kinect a little bit. They spoke on the subject of the fact that it will now work in rooms that are smaller than your average castle. And you will be able to use it at, I believe, a minimum range of 1 meter, which is not too shabby.
I'm not gonna plug that into a converter. I'll just take your word for it.
What? Oh, come on. I just realized, Americans. Right. Yeah.
It's like 1 meter. No, you know what? Never mind.
That
Normally
would
this would be
be
the time when I'm like,
4.5 freedoms, Jesse.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah, you know, excellent. Now you understand the distance. Always.
I do.
James, what have you been playing this week?
Good dodge. Let's see. I played Memories of a Broken Dimension,
Okay.
which is some bonkers business, which I can't even begin to describe.
Could you try and begin to describe it, though?
No.
Well, screw that then. On to the next game.
All right, done. No, Memories of a Broken Dimension. I can't begin to describe it because it starts on like a DOS screen with you like bringing back a, I guess, satellite that something very strange in outer space happened with, but some reason is running on DOS still and works with DOS commands.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
what?
And then you like jump into this weird 3D, very like, I guess black and white but matrixy space where you're recreating the world, and it's very visually, I mean, the visual aesthetic of it is very engaging. It's not finished yet, and so we'll see where that goes. I played a ton of Papers, Please. Papers, Please is awesome.
Yes, it
Papers,
is.
Please is, yes,
Yeah.
cool.
Don't worry, we've all played that. It's
Good. No,
Really quite great.
I want to make, because like, I can't talk enough about that game. Like the fact that it can show us that even the most mundane activity can be made engaging through games and not lose its meaning is an incredible thing. And then all the moral choice in that game that's hidden in the system itself rather than stuck in dialogue trees was incredibly compelling to me. And like I went back through a second time and saw all this stuff that I hadn't realized were choice moments. The first time I uncovered one of them by making a choice that went against what the game was telling me to do, and I thought I was going to get penalized for it, and I did. But at the same time, it unlocked other things.
Yeah,
And
you got to benefit from it in another way, whether it be a benefit in terms of the specific game systems themselves or a benefit in terms of, well, that was a feel-good moment for me.
Well, the great thing is it was not only a feel-good moment, but it did actually, the game acknowledged and recognized
Yes.
those moral choices. I'm not going to spoil them here because I think
No.
that everybody
Everyone
on
should
the other
play
side
it.
of this camera should play Papers, Please. It's free, and like it's not complete yet either, but it's pretty awesome. Otherwise, I've been playing some Rogue Legacy.
What a dick of a
that
game.
one's seriously.
Oh, that game.
Dude, Metroidvania procedurally generated, like, how can you go wrong, right?
Spikes is the answer to that. Lots of spikes. That's how you go wrong.
But what else? Eador Genesis, not their new one, because their new one is just a smaller 3D version of their previous one. But Eador is this crazy, like, Heroes in Might and Magic.
It's kind of Age of Wonders-esque, yeah?
Right, but with infinite content. Like, I was shocked. Like, it never seems to be done rolling out just new content for you. And actually, it's one of the things I've been really liking about a lot of the Russian games I've been seeing developed is, I guess just because dev costs are lower there, I keep seeing games that are from genres we call dead that they bring back and then deliver with infinite content. It's so good. It makes me so happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, great example of that would, of course, be the King's Bounty stuff. You know, that's
right.
Probably one of the most obvious examples of just, hey, this was a really, really old progenitor of the Heroes of Might and Magic series. How about we bring it back and make it so damn good that you'll probably want to play this over the new home games?
Yes.
Really good.
I think so. Elven Legacy is another one. I mean, even Wargaming with World of Tanks, right?
Yeah.
Like, that. When was the last time you saw a U.S.-made tank game, right? But let's see. Other than that, that's been most of it. I've been hopping on Guns of Icarus with a bunch of my buddies.
Such a good game. Everyone here loves it.
I want to make sure we like give them a shout out because those guys totally deserve more people playing their game. And if for anybody who doesn't know, it's a steampunk airship combat game with asymmetric roles where you and your buddies run around the ship desperately trying to keep it afloat while knocking people out of the sky, and it's a fantastic time. I mean, you may not play for weeks on end like you might with some FPSs or whatever, but if you're looking for a good time for a couple of hours with 3 of your buddies, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is very much a game which requires team play in the extreme kind of style. As in, if you don't have a team that's working together, you will be destroyed repeatedly, since you are all required to try and crew the ship. And the cool thing about it is that if there's one person that's kind of not doing their job, then it doesn't matter how good the rest of them are. You're still going to fail horribly. You need to keep that ship in the sky. I love the idea of running around on the ship and the fact that there are more stations than there are players. So you have to make choices about which weapons you're firing at any particular time. And all 3 of us actually were involved in a big Battle Royale event a couple of months ago for this.
Nice.
Which was actually a promotional event for them, and it was great fun. It was awesome. I loved every last minute of it.
Dude, jumping from deck to deck, swinging a wrench, desperately trying to put out fires. How can you go wrong,
me.
right?
That's me. Every time I play that game.
All I want now is Guns of Icarus, but Star Trek. That's what I want. That would be incredible.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Are you about to mention Artemis Bridge Simulator by any chance?
Yeah. Have you played Artemis?
I have not, but I want to. I really do.
So you should play Artemis, and here's how. I sometimes at DigiPen have occasionally run games of Artemis, and here's how we do it. So you get at least 4 full ships worth of people. The communications officer is the only one who gets a headset, so they can talk to the other communications officers, but nobody else can hear anything from the other ships. So they have to relay all the information to everybody else there. And then you have a third room somewhere off to the side where you just have your other DM running, and we do away missions where you have to choose 2 of the crew to leave the crew and go to a away mission while the rest of the crew has to deal with stuff in space, right? And that game is just a blast, right? It's D&D meets Star Trek meets Icarus. It's fantastic.
Yes. Yeah,
that
it
sounds
really is.
Awesome.
It's incredible. It really is. But it does require a group of people and significant setup time, and it's got to be done kind of in the same room, really. It's not something you can really play offline. Now we just lost Jesse. Oh, well, never mind. It's okay. He was irrelevant to this discussion anyway. We'll be fine. But yeah, Artemis is one of those games that does invoke the idea that you can play a pen and paper style with that kind of infinite creativity, but in a world with video game rules. And it's one of the few ones that does it well, as far as I'm concerned. It's really, really fantastic. I love the idea of it, but we have never got to play it. And if we did play it, lots of people would require us to film it, and we'd have to figure out a way to do it that actually looked good.
Oh, that's
If there was
true.
any way to get everybody in the same area, like if you're ever this side, I would totally GM a game for you guys.
Hey,
because,
where is it that you currently live?
Seattle.
Seattle. That's
PAX.
We are at PAX.
You want to come to PAX?
We're all at
PAX,
PAX, I think,
yeah.
aren't we? Yeah, we're all at PAX to do a panel, so we could do that.
I
am
and I
having
can get the
thoughts.
extra credits crew to run a second ship.
I'm having thoughts. The Polaris film crew will be there as well to film our panel. I got
That's
ideas.
also true.
I don't want to. I hate promising this stuff in the podcast because it never happens. But
Right.
And then-
we need to
yeah,
think
that's
about that. That might
We're
work.
officially not promising the awesomest
At
game
all.
arts of all time.
Yeah. We
I
are not
guess,
promising it, but I'm hoping that it does happen. We'll see if we can get it together. But again, not promising a damn thing.
Offline, we should actually talk about this.
Yeah. Let's have words.
I keep missing everything. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
We're talking about Artemis Bridge Simulator, Jesse. You'll have to look that up because it's really quite the thing. But if I've just roped you in. You can be the weapons officer.
We're gonna play a game,
Can
Jesse.
I dress like Commander Worf? Oh my god, it's happening. It's happening. I'm gonna get
I
face-
have
Yes,
to be
you
able to get
absolutely can.
In fact, you must.
Oh, I
It is
will.
required.
Right. It's part of the rules of the game.
Where did TB go? I looked down for 1 second.
Here's what's happening on my end is I'm sitting here like listening to you guys talk, and all of a sudden it's just a silence, and your voices are moving like something's happening right now, and then you stop moving. I'm like, oh, this is not good, and then I'm like, well, maybe I'll restart the call, and Skype's like, no, look at them, and then all of a sudden it just drops me, and I'm like, oh,
Oh,
that was
come
a good-
on.
that was a good 5 minutes, thanks.
Oh, good.
That's what I'm doing. So TB, that's a guy. He left.
No, apparently it's not.
He doesn't want to talk about the games that he's played.
Are we still talking about Guns of Icarus? Because
No,
Sky
we were
Captain
talking-
Maximilian Valentine
Could be.
will return.
I mean, we can revert. We can revert back.
I got more
Right.
Russian games I can talk about. Pathologic's amazing.
Oh,
if any
my.
of you guys are,
That
You
was
got
What
it?
is that?
Yeah,
So you talk-
Pathologic. I don't want to talk about Pathologic. I barely dipped into it, and it's nuts. It's bonkers.
What? Hold on, I'm
Right.
looking it up.
So, Pathologic, if any of you are out there looking for a good survival horror game, like that's more akin to old school Silent Hill or Fatal Frame,
What?
Pathologic is pretty fantastic. Translation's a little bit rough, but
Award-winning 2005 psychological horror video game.
Yes.
The cover is so creepy. Okay, sorry, continue.
oh no, I'm done. I'm done. Has a town built around a giant abattoir. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, Pathologic is a very strange thing. And yeah, you should have a look at it.
What?
Wait, whoa. 2 men, Bachelor and Haruspecs, and a girl nicknamed Devotress, each of whom tried to uncover the source of a strange lethal sickness that befalls a small town. Oh no.
Although you can play as each of them, there's only one storyline. Oh, interesting.
Oh, so it's kind of like the plot of Fahrenheit, where you're playing as the criminal
Yeah.
and the cops.
Kind of.
Yes, but the end doesn't spiral off into nothingness.
Yeah. The dog didn't eat the script halfway
Whoa,
through.
spoiler! Whoa!
First off, don't you dare say Fahrenheit was perfect.
Awful.
Everything
Fahrenheit
David
was the
Cage.
first and only game I played with necrophilic sex in it.
Indeed. And
Yep.
remains that way to this day, thankfully.
I
But
rest my case.
that game was, for the first good 4 hours of that game was incredible. And then something horrible happened.
Well, that's because the Emperor came after you with his flea army, and you had to fight him off in your office space, and then you learned to fly. Look, it's a great game. David Cage is a golden god of video game making. Say nothing.
Did you ever
Homeless
read
people are the
his-
internet. That game.
Did you ever read his postmortem on that game?
No?
He literally
God.
says, "Oh, nobody gets the end of video games, so we were just like, screw it."
That sounds about right. It's like, yeah,
so
but I was
funny.
compelled, but I got
What?
to the end of Heavy Rain because I was compelled to. And then I didn't get to the end of Fahrenheit because it got bad. I actually stopped at the stupid army-based stealth segment that was horribly implemented.
Oh, where you play as the kids and you're like,
Oh, it's
watch out for
dreadful.
the lights.
Dreadful
Oh my
segment.
god, I watched Jesse's playthrough of that part, and it was just Jesse being like, what is happening? Like,
Why is this
he's
here?
so
This is horrible.
angry.
And the best part is your little children are on an army base, and I get that you're like the kids of people who work there, but it's still in the middle of the night, you're in a secure sector, and they're just like, oh, you kids, go back to bed, and then you try it again. Like, no, you'd be thrown in kid prison jail. They would stick the dogs on your ass, but whatever.
Oh, dear.
It was the 50s, a different time.
Yeah, I mean, you just compare that segment to, you remember the bit at the start where you've got to hide evidence from the cops? That was incredibly good. It was a really nice, really tense piece of gameplay. People complain that game's and Heavy Rain's all QTE. It isn't. Like, there's a lot of QTE stuff, but that was more like a timed point-and-click puzzle.
Well, in that one even, like, putting dialogue on timers was a fantastic piece of gameplay innovation, right? Like,
it really
putting that
was.
pressure. And we saw it in Walking Dead, right? Like, Walking Dead brought that to the next logical level, but, like, it was introduced in Fahrenheit.
Yeah, and the picture-in-picture, which they did incredibly well, and again moved into Heavy Rain as well. There were some really great gameplay elements in Fahrenheit, and then the game just went off the rails halfway through, which was really, really annoying. But there you go.
I loved it.
Yep, I'm, as a result, looking forward to Beyond Two Souls. We'll see where that goes.
Yes. Here's the thing. They're dialing it back on the ads. Like, I can't wait, because the original ad was like, you know, it's a bald girl with like fire powers, and now it's like, I'm in the military and I have a ghost buddy. Nothing weird about this game yet. I can't wait. At some point, it's going to become bonkers, and I'm going to be there for it.
Yeah, definitely. I just hope it's possible to just entirely fail. Like, when it comes down to failure states, those two games did an incredible job of it. You could screw up Heavy Rain so incredibly badly, and the game wouldn't apologize to you for it either, and that was wonderful. Man.
Jesse, didn't you stand in line to play that game and they interviewed you?
Yes.
And you just
It
yelled
was so
David
much-
Cage is a golden god at the interviewer.
E3, I don't know if it's footage that exists, but E3, I guess they have like a post wrap up thing they do, like a video they send out to like people, like, this is what E3 is like. And so they came up to me, camera crew and all, and I'm in line for Beyond Two Souls, and they're like, so what do you think about this game? And I'm like, David Cage, the golden god. And they were like, okay. And they were like, so you're into this? And then I was like, oh my god, this will be the best game ever made. Guys, you don't even understand. And they're just like, all right. Well, this has been good. And they're like,
And that would be why it was never aired.
I kept being like, oh, I just want there to be a cut that had it in there. And they were like, we've got to, I don't know, just get rid of that part.
I want them to use that in the Christmas video. Like, Merry Christmas. David Cage is the golden god.
Oh, man. That's a wonderful, horrible thing. Alright, what have I been playing that I can actually talk about? Because I want to talk about Shadowrun and I can't. I'm embargoed till midnight, which is annoying because this podcast will probably hit YouTube on Friday, and it'll already have been out. So I'll say, go watch the video that's already been made that is airing in the future, which is going to be on the channel at 12 p.m. on Thursday, so basically midnight tonight. That's EDT. And that'll have my full opinions on that game. I'm not allowed to talk about it otherwise. Which sucks, because I got a lot to say about that game, but there you go. What else have I actually been playing? I got back into PlanetSide. That was,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was a thing. I haven't played in quite some time. After we finished the Ultimate Empire Showdown event, I just stopped playing for a while, because I was just all PlanetSide for the longest time. They've done a lot with that game. It's still got some issues, I've got to say. I've discovered that apparently flying a plane is a terrible idea now, and you explode a lot. But outside of that, the infantry combat seems like it's been polished up nicely. There's a greater weapon variety. We're not entirely convinced if they buffed our main faction's weapon, or if it just feels more powerful because they gave it a better sound. But all I can say is I'm getting more kills with it now than I was previously, so I'm pretty sure they buffed it. The mini chain gun is quite a beast now. They have vastly improved UI, hugely improved. One of the biggest problems that game had was getting information to you. And they have done a cracking job of fixing that for the most part. The way that they now indicate where you can spawn and make it far, far easier. Basically, you can just click on a point in the map, which has a little green circle on it, and you will be able to spawn there. And also the spawn points are differentiated, so it shows you, what you're spawning on. Are you spawning on a squad beacon? Are you spawning at a base? How safe is it? Well, that's pretty cool. And they put in something called the alert system, which is a bunch of kind of random events that happen every now and again, and everyone's got about an hour to do the best in that event that they can for a certification bonus. And they also changed the way that bases are laid out. They linked bases together and outposts through a lattice system. They actually took a lot of the old outposts out of the game, and they just said, right, you capture by connecting these lattice links together, which is much, much better than what it was previously, where you could just kind of run around capturing everything, and you could never really truly stop people from doing that. So defending against it was just pointless. It was like trying to swat away a cloud of flies with your hand. It just didn't work. But it's a much better game now. They still need to deal with the performance problems. Apparently, it runs really bad on i7s, which is a pretty bad chip to have your game not run well on. So I'm still getting like 50 frames per second at best in larger battles, 30 at worst, which is not ideal. But it's a much better game now, and they continue improving it. Apparently the new update is coming live sometime tonight. So they're going to be introducing the lattice to Esamir and a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah, that's been good. We're getting the outfit back together. We had a couple of squads rolling last night. It was fun times.
What are you drinking?
This?
Yeah.
It's
Water
just water.
with Mio.
Mio, yeah. I started buying those, and they're just the handiest things ever.
What is that?
Mio,
It's a healthy
liquid water
alternative to
enhancer.
soda.
It's if you're in the UK, you probably know it as squash. Here in the US, they vastly concentrated to the point where if you tried to drink this on its own, you'd probably die. But it's a highly concentrated flavor shot, basically. And you can kind of put it in pretty much any water. I take it to restaurants with me now because I look through their list like, so what do you got? Well, we got soda, more soda, or water. Like, well, I'll go with the well. Most of the places around here, no, they don't. But I'll just get water these days because I'm just sick of drinking high fructose corn syrup. It gives me headaches.
I think it's a man, TB.
Yeah. So this is great. Like, just a little squirt of this in pretty much any water, and no calories, some vitamins in it, probably not too many. It just tastes better. So, yes, I drink that. It's good.
Yeah, I was curious whether or not there was anything to it, or if it really was just flavor. No judgment either way.
I'm just drinking vast quantities of Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay, cool. Just checking.
not to say that I would have anything against Kool-Aid. I certainly don't. But I think putting that much sugar into your drinks is probably a bad idea. If you want sugar, you can eat donuts for breakfast like Dodger did.
Yeah, or you can put 4 packets of sugar in your coffee like I do sometimes.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Other games I've been playing. I played a bit of Mercenary Kings. That is pretty good. It's by a company called Tribute. They made Wizorb, which was alright. But more importantly, the company was formed of a lot of the people that were responsible for Scott Pilgrim, the video game. And it has a very similar art style as a direct result. It has some great chiptunes behind it, excellent music. They just haven't got enough of it yet. Like, the first 10 levels has the same soundtrack. Like, I liked this the first 20 times I heard it, but this is starting to get a little bit repetitive now. It basically is a Metal Slug crossed with Monster Hunter. It's very much a crafting-based take on Metal Slug. It has a similar kind of combat. It has reasonably expansive levels with a good amount of exploration involved in it, and it's about collecting materials to build upgrades. One of the barrels I believe you can get for your guns is a cat. So just want to point that out. The guns went a little bit silly.
Yeah.
As soon as I noticed that a toilet was a gun and a trombone was a gun, and you could customize the gun with various different parts. I believe I'm using a trombone as my barrel now, which is kind of like a glorified shotgun of sorts. It gets very silly very quickly, let's just put it that way. The only thing I think I've got a problem with that game is that since it's about gathering materials, it has the same problem that Monster Hunter has, in that the missions individually are often fairly repetitive, and you also have to replay the same level multiple times to get all the materials, and they host different missions on the same level set. It's not just the same tile set, it's literally the same level with the same enemies in the same place. So that can get a little bit frustrating after a while, but for the most part, it's pretty solid. Yeah, so that's a thing. Yep, Shadowrun. Which, again, I really want to talk about Shadowrun. I'm not allowed to talk about Shadowrun. There needs to be so damn much.
Hold it back.
Yep, and I've been playing a little bit of SMT4 on the 3DS. A bit of Shin Megami... I don't even know how you pronounce it.
Shin Megami Tensei?
Shin Megami Tensei, yes. Oh, Shin Megami Tensei.
Yep, nailed it. You nailed it. Got it.
That's exactly it. Which started off as kind of a fairly standard JRPG until I noticed the element of, oh, you get to negotiate with demons, and they often want very silly things. I approached this demon, which looked like a gerbil, and I spoke to the gerbil. It's like, I really need to go to the toilet, and then it gives you 3 options. I will go to the toilet for you. There's one of them. I'm like, what? And then there's just hold it, and then you can go right here. And depending on your answers, you have to negotiate with these damn things to get them onto your party. And trying to understand demon logic, that generally doesn't go well. There's this senile old demon, which is basically an old man combined with a vulture of some sort. And he thought that I was out to steal all of the inheritance money because I said I respected my elders. And it's like, you're just trying to trick me into giving you the inheritance money. And it's like, this is hilarious. But
that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, I haven't got very far into it yet. It definitely throws some nasty stuff at you that you might not be prepared for, and you should be grinding in that game.
What game is this?
Shin Megami Tensei 4. SMT4.
What is it?
Shigumi.
SHIN space MEGAMI space TENSEI, enter.
I don't know what you said. Is this the one with the? Is this the 3DS game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. SMT4. Some people connect it very much with Persona. It's really kind of not. I believe in Japan it's not even called Shin Megami Tensei Persona over there. It's just called Persona. Over here it's still called SMT Persona 4.
Yeah.
Found it and love it.
There's not really a lot of connection between the two, honestly. There's little bits here and there, which is like, oh yeah, this is kind of like that. But
I think we've got a raised hand.
I have an important question.
yes.
How did you answer the I have to go to the bathroom question?
I told him just to do it right there, and then he told me that was disgusting and tried to kill me. So
Cool, good, perfect.
yeah, it is how you would have expected. I probably should have said, I'll go on your behalf. It's just like, that makes no sense. Demon logic.
Oh, good. I happen to be the sort of demon that can give you my bladder. Here you go. You're just like, no, I don't want this.
A quest item has been collected. Demon bladder. I don't really know where that game's going yet. I'm trying to figure it out. It is a very strange game indeed. I think just like Persona, it's like you got to play through the first few hours to really get to anything that really constitutes as interesting gameplay. But yeah, I'm trying my hardest to get to a stage where I'm really interested in it. I'm not there yet, but I have a feeling I'll get there. It's got a lot of weird ideas. Also, it manages to beat. You remember last time where I had that gigantic box for Muramasa?
Yes.
I haven't got it in here, but it manages to beat that. The limited edition, which is basically the first print of it, is gigantic. It comes with a full-on strategy guide and a 200-page manual. I'm like, wow, I'm back in the PC days. This is great. So, yeah, that's
so
quite the
intense.
thing. I know what it is. I buy handheld games. They have bigger boxes than regular games. This makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
There's no good reason for this. But it's great that it happened. That's what can I say. So yes,
I just bought it and I feel good about this purchase.
SMT, yeah, it's you'll probably like it. Story-driven JRPG, decent battle system, nothing particularly imaginative. It goes on. Oh, it's got the push turn system, whereby blah blah blah. It's like that's kind of the same as the Persona 4 system, whereby if you exploit a weakness, you get to attack again. But apparently, you get to just like keep attacking if you keep doing that or something like that. It's like this
really?
is. It's still a fair.
It's a little OP on your part.
Well, I think
those games are rough.
Yeah, they very much are. It's a dick. It really is a dick.
That game's a dick.
Yeah, I had to grind before I beat the first boss. So, it was, this is just like Dragon Quest all over again. I've got to grind to beat the first boss. Ran into the first boss, got utterly obliterated. Oh, and the game barely has checkpoints and doesn't remind you to save. So, enjoy that. I had to replay the entire dungeon because I just forgot to save. Which was fun. But you can actually buy yourself back to life because apparently the gatekeeper of the River Styx is just out in it for the money, really. So, you can pay him and he'll let you go back there, but if you don't have the money, he'll put it on a tab, so you progressively get more and more in debt. It's horrible. It's like it's a life simulator.
Life lessons in that game, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good lessons. What can I say? And there's class warfare and this weird gauntlet that has. It's like, I am a sprite. Here are the apps that I have as a sprite. Like, what? Come on, just say you're a computer or don't.
Sprite can do that.
Apparently they can.
There's an app for that on Sprite.
There is, in fact, an app for that. Yes. There is an app for talking to demons. There is an app for convincing demons to give you items when they join you. There is, all sorts of different things. It's interesting, to say the least. 3DS has quite the lineup now, I've got to say.
Speaking of Atlas RPGs on 3DS, did you try Etrurian Odyssey?
I tried the first one a long time ago on the original DS.
So did I, and it was miserable, and I really wanted to like it.
Yep.
4 is actually playable. 4 is actually good. It's all the things you wanted in that series without, like, the map making being just mind-bogglingly tedious, right? Like, they made it usable finally, and it's glorious.
Cool. I'm really glad to hear that, actually. If I had time for all these RPGs, I'd just be buying them all. As it stands, I've got a lot of them just kind of sitting in the stack. I have not finished Fire Emblem yet. I have not finished Project X Zone, and I'm nowhere even started on SMT. I do not have time for this. And then I've got Mirror Master on the Vita, and I don't know what to do. And apparently there's some very strange level 5 game that just came out. I think it's called Attack of the something monsters. Friday Monster. Yeah, Attack of the Friday Monsters. Which subtitles I'm in Love for some reason. It's some apparent life simulator game, except there are kaiju.
That sounds about right for level 5.
Yeah. It's one of those really
that
weird
does not
downloadable
surprise
games.
me at all.
Yeah.
What? Hold on. What is this game called?
It is called Attack of the Friday Monsters, subtitled I'm in Love. It's really weird.
This looks amazing.
Yes. Welcome to level 5. For some reason, for the last couple of years, level 5 has been doing nothing but making really weird 3DS downloadable games. And it's actually great that they keep doing this, because no one else is. Yeah, I believe they renamed it in the West to A Tokyo Tale, because, yeah.
Crimson Shroud was them too, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So it is
Cool.
Attack of the Friday Monsters, A Tokyo Tale. There we go. That's what it is in the West. It's got card mechanics in it, and life sim elements, and kaiju.
Right, how do you go wrong? Like, I'm already sold.
I don't really know. I don't think you can go wrong with that. So.
I've got a 9-hour flight this weekend. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Sweet. There you go.
Playing that.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
This game looks amazing. So it's downloadable on 3DS?
Yes, it's downloadable title. I think it's like $10, maybe even less than that. It's
instant purchase.
Yeah.
Buying it.
As I say, they have just gone down to making some really strange stuff these days, including, as you said, Crimson Shroud, which they did. No, they didn't do Bugs vs. Tanks, I don't think. They did do Layton Brothers Mystery Room. Mm-hmm. And they did Starship Damery as well, didn't they? Yeah. It's weird. They do Ni no Kuni, and then it's like, you know what's going to be a really good idea? We're gonna make like 5 weird downloadable games for the 3DS. What was your last game? This gigantic epic JRPG? What is this? A life sim with kaiju and card mechanics. I'll go, all right then. All right.
Oh, cool, good.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
I don't know. All right, I think it's probably about time we take a break, folks. When we come back, we'll talk about the news this week and cover upcoming releases. You are watching the Co-optional podcast, Change is Bad, I Hate Change. We'll be right back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the gaming podcast by the name of the Co-optional podcast. It almost happened, didn't it?
Yep, you were almost the first one to make the mistake.
Almost. Yeah, that was close. We're okay, guys. Don't worry. Man, it's so strange to rebrand after so freaking long and have it ingrained into your mind.
How many of these have we done?
Oh, 70-something, I believe. We're up to about 72, 73 maybe?
Man.
Quite a few.
Quite a few of those.
Yeah.
Our 100-episode spectacular needs to be amazing.
I'm not sure how we plan on doing that one, honestly. Oh, actually, we're not at 70 at all by the looks of it. We're more at like 64, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. About 63, 64. We would have been at 65 if Dodger wasn't a horrible slacker.
Wow.
saying.
Hey, wait a minute. Like,
Like, oh, you were really like impressed. Wow, I am.
it's God, I ruined everything. So are we starting the number over with the new name, or are we just continuing the number?
This I hadn't considered. I have no idea. I don't know. That's not my job. That's Polaris' job. It's their.
That's true.
They sort that out. They can figure it
It's
out.
the will of the people. It's the people. They decide.
No, don't. The people are dumb. Seriously.
I learned that from playing Shu in Dynasty Warriors 8.
I learned
Right.
don't trust the people when we asked them what we should call the podcast.
The
PB Podcast.
Gaming news. Let's talk a little bit about that, shall we? Sounds like a plan. First piece of important news. Payday Beta does not have FOV slider. It's true, it doesn't. They haven't put a bloody FOV slider in it.
I'm not saying that I think you're lying. I just love that that's the first piece of news. You're like, FOV sliders, guys.
FOV sliders.
Are you
No.
with me right now?
What can I say? I like to pander, but yeah, it's unfortunately it's quite silly. All right, well, obviously we will not be talking about that, but that's getting a 1 out of 10 until they fix that. God damn it! It's a PC game. Put an FOV slider in it.
That was fun when we played it at E3.
I'm told that it is quite the thing. I mean, it looks.
I have a mask in the background.
Yeah, the idea behind the game is incredible. The first one sounded good for what it was, and it was actually pretty fun to play.
Right?
It was all right. Who played it? Was it Krendor that played a lot of it? You played a lot, Jesse, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes.
And it was pretty good.
One.
Like the first Payday
It's-
was actually not too bad.
Yeah, and they don't dick around with the difficulty. Like, some of those missions are, if you keep screwing up, eventually it becomes impossible. Because the towns you apparently go to rob from have unlimited numbers of police who are just willing to come at you until they die. And so, it's the worst.
Yeah. Payday 2 apparently has something called CrimeNet, which kind of generates missions for you, and it essentially supposedly has an infinite number of missions and way better progression and all sorts of things like that. I'm looking forward to playing it when they put the FOV slider in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can all design our own masks and go on adventures together.
Oh, yes, that's the best part, is you can make your own mask in this one.
Yep.
And so you can take masks and change the colors, and that guy was like, hurry up, you've got to play with your friends. And I was like, dude, I'm making a mask over here.
Yeah, I kept trying to, because like I started off with the cat mask, of course. And I kept trying to like make it bright orange, but it just wouldn't happen. And he was like, "Are you ready? Are you good? Are you ready? Are you done? Are you ready to go?" And I was like, "Yep, I'm ready."
I don't feel ready.
So stressed out because I just wanted that bright orange cat mask so bad.
I'm so sorry.
The mission we did was like, you have to be very sneaky and get through these cameras. And I was just like, pop, 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 pop. We're good. Let's do this. And the guy was like, you're going to lose. We kicked the shit out of that thing.
We beat that.
Please.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who takes, there's no hostages when I go in. Everyone's dead, and we get in, we get out. That's how that works. Cops didn't have time. Cops didn't have time to mess with us.
I think it's going to be very interesting when we invariably play that for the let's drop an announcement. I just thought I'd kind of raise the tension a little bit. So there we go. We are going to be doing a show of some sort on Polaris that will be called Co-optional Plays, which is going to be 3 of us doing games whereby co-op can allow us to either wittingly or unwittingly sabotage each other.
Just hate each other so much.
Yes, and it will probably start with Monaco. That's all I'm saying.
No, come on, TV.
Monaco.
Start in the disaster piece that we mean to go on with.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess it's a good way to set the tone.
Yes. There will be only one episode of this. We'll hate each other so much afterwards.
Oh my god. It'll be me just like, all right, sneaky.
Is it Mario Party?
Sorry,
Is that the
sorry.
first episode?
That's all I would do.
Yes, that will be a thing, and it's coming to the Polaris network. There will be a number of different titles involved in it. I'm not saying Magica will be involved in it, but Magica will probably be involved in it. So.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Wizard
indeed.
Battle Royale.
Well, speaking of Wizard Battle Royale, actually, there's been some footage coming out of Wizard Wars for Magica, which is looking very interesting indeed. I like the fact that they said, yeah, we're going to make a Dota-like game, but we're going to keep all of the nonsense chaos from Magica, and we're just going to kind of let it solve itself. And it's like, this has no chance of being competitive. Thank God. The first, like, Dota-looking game
gonna be fun.
that from the outset says, we have no aspirations of being an esport of any description. Thank God. Now you can be fun.
I want them to become an esport.
No.
I want that to happen, and I want it to be like, oh, he just shot his own teammate in the head. That's 10 points, Phil. I want that so badly.
It would be the first comedy esport, actually, where what would most likely happen is that the team would sabotage itself more so than anything else.
Look, Jesse, you can be the very first esports commentator for Wizard Wars.
I'd rather it be TB, and he'd be very serious.
I'm not that serious when I do my commentary, you know that.
Just very serious, and then offended. Just offended by, like, they are wasting the people's time.
As well, like my co-commentators usually. There's been times when we've had to commentate a StarCraft match between a Grandmaster League player and a Silver League player, because it's just the very early stages of an open tournament, and my co-caster's just like, this is horrible, and just tearing his hair out at how stupid it is. But the reason I love Magica is because it is one of the only games to embrace the notion of screwing up in the most hilarious, explosive ways. It deliberately puts stuff in that game where you can mess up horribly. The fact that when you try and cast lightning spells while wet, it electrocutes you. Most games wouldn't even do that because they say, well, people will find it frustrating. Or, oh, it's too easy to kill your friends and teammates in this game. No, Magica embraces that idea. That's what makes it fun.
Oh, yeah. That's what makes it hilarious, because you're literally constantly making mistakes.
Yes, absolutely.
James, it's so accepting of it.
Have you played Magica, James?
Of course. I'm a huge Paradox fan. Like, everything they release, even if it's terrible, I'll go play it.
And half the time it is terrible, but, you know...
Half the time it is terrible. That pirate game that they released...
Oh, Pirates of the Black Cove, was that?
That was it. That was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I played that. It was horrible.
But they're willing to try, right? Like, they're willing to experiment with things. You're right. Like Magica, right? Like, nobody else released Magica. I remember talking I was sitting talking to some of the designers after Magica initially released, and they told me about the first, maybe it was the second expansion, the Vietnam expansion.
Yes.
And they tell me about it. I'm cracking up, and I'm like, that's a hilarious joke, guys. And they're like, no, that's really what we're going to do. I'm like...
Yeah, I remember when they released the trailer for that. I'm like, is he kidding? That was actually like the Plants vs. Zombies thing. And I'm like, oh, they're actually doing that. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The Garden Warfare.
The Plants vs. Zombies FPS.
I can't wait for Garden Warfare.
Oh, I was like, this is a really clever parody. I was watching it, I'm like, wow, they put so much effort into this parody trailer. And then I eventually realized, oh, it's real. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
It's going to be brilliant.
Horrible is most likely.
This game.
Oh.
Brilliant.
That entire presentation at E3 was so quotable. You could take almost anything out of context in that presentation, it would have sounded ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here's a corn
That is
strike. We call this bonk choy. Like, right, okay, all right. This is very silly.
I'm trying not to go on a rant about studios that EA buys.
Please do. We bring you onto this show for that kind of thing. You're more than welcome.
No, it makes me so sad, right? Because like I've said it before, there are tons of EA games I love, and in the 90s they released a bunch of incredible stuff, right? But whether it be Origin, not the service, right? But like the Ultima series killed it dead, right?
Yeah.
The guys who were making Saboteur had some great games.
Pandemic.
Mean, right. Pandemic.
Saboteur, what a swan song that game was, aside from the fact it didn't run on AMD cards. Like, it was actually incredible. It was a really great game.
I got to see earlier builds before they were bought, and like, it was better.
Way better?
In my opinion. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, it was better written. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
The writing was a lot more. They went into a lot more of the issues of that time period, and it was a powerful thing. Let's see what else. I mean, PopCap. Everyone I know has left PopCap. Like, they're like 4 blocks from me, right?
Yeah.
And what makes me really sad is like, I don't know, but I haven't seen anything from Fifth and Battery, right? Like, Fifth and Battery was amazing. Fifth and Battery was exactly what we need to do in the AAA industry. For any of you guys who don't know, Fifth and Battery was PopCap's sub-label where they were just like, hey, let's let our engineers and anybody who wants to go nuts, create a prototype of some crazy thing, and we're just going to launch it under this Fifth and Battery label. And if it does awesome, we'll make a PopCap game of it later. And, I mean, that's how you don't spend $20-30 million on an experimental idea and still get to experiment, right? Yeah. And I mean, Command and Conquer. Let's talk BioWare, right? Like, yeah.
Don't even get me started.
And so I really, really want to see PopCap survive this acquisition and be the PopCap of yore, because right, for casual games, they made incredible casual games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
no other company I would have played that many casual games from. It's just like, why is Peggle fun? I can't immediately identify the reasons, but I'm going to play the damn thing anyway.
Right, pachinko with unicorns and rainbows, awesome. But I mean, Garden Warfare, right? Especially the fact that it's farmed out. Wow, pun not intended.
Nice.
The fact that it was not actually built at PopCap, but now they're exploiting globally PopCap franchises, like, has me hugely worried. And you would think that EA, serving as an acquisition machine, would have figured this out by now, right? Because, I mean, they've bought tons and tons and tons of...
Run them all into the bloody ground.
Every single one. And you know something? You know what? I think Activision's got it right? Like, I think that EA is running around...
First time I've ever heard anyone say that one. That's right. How bad it's got that someone's willing to say that.
And so get this, right? This is how I see it. EA is desperately trying to figure out what's next, right? Because they're clearly not competitive at this point. The number of quarter after quarter losses that they've reported is unbelievable. The amount of money they just hemorrhaged is remarkable, right? And of course not, right? Like, they were subscription in a free-to-play world. They're always a little bit behind the ball because that ship turns slowly.
Yes, it did.
So they are desperately, I mean, I think of them as baby Huey, right? Like, walking around, sitting down on stuff and crushing it by accident, because they're trying to look for what's going to keep them viable. And I think Activision is actually correct. What they're doing right now, if in my opinion, is Activision is exploiting on an annual basis. They're running their franchises into the ground and piling up money, right? And they're just going to wait until somebody gets it right and somebody figures out how to do next gen and AAA in some way that's actually cost efficient, that's actually viable, and then they're just going to do it and add a whole new layer of polish and blow everybody out of the water, right? Because they can throw $1 billion at it. And so they're totally happy releasing nothing but Skylanders and Call of Duty and Warcraft, right? Yeah. And they're happy killing those franchises too. Doesn't matter to them.
And to be fair, you know, if we could talk about like Skylanders, and as much as we see it as a franchise now, that was a gigantic risk for them going into that. That was some interesting new stuff going into it.
And I think that one's, I mean, I actually think Skylanders is a big deal. I think that this idea of RFID-enabled toys, like real-world physical pieces interacting.
If I was a kid, when that came out, I would be all over that.
Right. And it's only going to get better, right? Like, sooner or later, we're going to have our Warhammer 40K or whatever that all communicates with each other.
Oh, Jesus.
That does calculations off to the side. Like, there's all sorts of design possibilities that open up, given the fact that RFID chips are now, like, less than 2 cents. And I think I mean, we see Disney jumping on that right now.
Yes,
right?
Infinite. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I see that as huge potential. But Activision, I see as waiting, seeing these opportunities, and just throwing the money to actually make them happen. But other than that, just stockpiling cash for the transition we're going through. And I think EA is desperately trying to adjust that transition, but can't move fast enough because it's too big. And I'm just worried. I hope that PopCap just doesn't get crushed under that ship. But to me,
They would hardly be the first that did, unfortunately.
They would be the first that didn't if they survived.
Yeah,
That's
Jesse.
very true.
I have to disagree. I think EA is doing a fabulous job, and I'm convinced that they know what's best for us and are the best people that ever existed. And if they mess with me, I swear to God, I'll find you, EA. I'll find you.
And I mean, from my side, right, like, I actually would like, because there are some good games, right, and like, I would like to see EA succeed because, from my perspective, as a developer, like, if EA went under, do you know how many jobs that is?
That's
do you know
a lot of jobs.
Terrible that is.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually rooting for EA, but they got to make a change from this acquire and then implement old EA practices in a studio that's doing new things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think there's really a question about that, is there? I mean, it seems like there's so much focus group driven stuff going on with EA at this stage. It's like, how can we make something that will appeal to X? I'm like, well, how about if you make a good game, it will acquire a demographic of its own organically, because that's how media works. No, we think we want to make something that appeals to X. Like, could you just not do that? It bothers me so very much, and it just means that there's no risk-taking whatsoever from them, and they're just gradually pumping out franchise after franchise that seem to be packaged products designed for a very specific thing, for a very specific group of people, and they're willing to sacrifice the integrity of whatever that franchise was in order to try and get a larger fan base behind it. They would hardly be the only company to do that, but they are easily one of the biggest, I feel.
I agree, but riddle me this. What is the target demographic of your FPS Plants vs. Zombies?
I don't think it has one. I mean, it's nonsense. It is... I don't get what they're shooting for there, but do you think that that's
Team Fortress? No, they're shooting for the Team Fortress 2 crowd. I mean, that's
no.
what
Actually,
that is.
I'll tell you exactly who they're shooting for. Actually, they're shooting for the 4-player co-op horde mode based crowd that is built around stuff like Call of Duty Zombies and things like Sniper Elite Nazi Zombies, and of course Left 4 Dead and all sorts of things like that.
I think it's actually part of a, in my opinion, misguided but larger EA strategic goal that they started with Mass Effect 3. I think they want to graduate casual or more casual players who are not FPS players, into the FPS market, because they see Call of Duty owns currently 100% of the FPS competitive market.
Pretty much.
I mean, Battlefield has a small slice, right? But they want to move more new bodies into that market, and so I think that with Mass Effect 3, they were using that as a way to get RPG players to start entering that field in a very approachable way, right? Like team-based, it's not competitive, right? But you might start being willing to play online FPSs now. And I think in some weird way, they think they're going to start migrating some of your Plants vs. Zombies fans into the competitive FPS space. So they have
I want that so badly. Oh, are you kidding me? I want to hear, because I'm used to hearing 12-year-olds swear at me. I want to hear like 54-year-old women. I will eat your soul. Like, yes, I need that.
I feel like that's kind of, I feel like James and Jesse are kind of saying the same thing though, because for a lot of people, TF2 is like this silly, fun shooter game that winds up being their gateway drug into other shooters. So this Plants vs. Zombie Garden Warfare might be like the gateway drug into, I wonder if there are other games like this. Maybe. There's like TF2 kind of, and then other things.
I wonder how much
I don't think many people are going to get that far.
Right.
Maybe. I wonder how much of a gateway drug TF2 really is, though. Like, I don't see a lot of people playing TF2, and it's like, better go play some Call of Duty now. It's like, oh, this is a team-based, class-based multiplayer shooter, and it's
No,
like
but
it.
in the same way that it encourages you to try something, it's like when people want to try some sort of a MOBA, and so they play League of Legends because it's friendly-ish looking in terms of its interface. It's true. It's true. It's easier and it looks more appealing when you open up the interface.
Yeah, okay, I will give you that. Friendly it is not, but...
Yeah.
I'll
So
give you that
then people who get really good at that, at League of Legends, wind up being like, maybe I'll try Dota. And then if you're me, you're like, oh God, nope, and then you leave. But I mean, it did encourage me to attempt it.
Yeah, I think I think for very open-minded people that will try something like League, that they would be willing to try other alternatives. But I honestly feel like the vast majority of people that get into League have no reason to leave. Because frankly, as much as we can bash on League for being an easier game than Dota, it's not easy enough for the vast majority of people to give a damn. Like, the people that I see bragging on Reddit about, I'm a Dota player because League's a stupid casual game. It's like, these are the kind of guys that couldn't get to gold on ladder in League anyway, yeah? They're nowhere near competitive, they never will be, so the skill ceiling for them is so far out of sight that there's a cloud layer in between them and that damn skill layer. They're never going to reach that ceiling. They brag about it for the sake of it. And when it comes to League, I feel that people that play League are committed to that because they've spent a lot of time unlocking characters for an account. Like, they perceive value in that account, and they don't want to abandon it.
Yeah, but if you like
James
games...
is trying to talk as desperately as he can. It's like, Dodger, shut up! No,
Look, I haven't talked nearly as much! Come on!
All right, okay, it's good, all right.
All I wanted to say...
Shut up,
Jesse!
Shut up!
Before you continue, I'd just like to point out that you guys
Wait a minute, guys. Oh no, I'm done.
Co-optional indeed. Oh look, it's Dodger's skill ceiling.
Done with all of you.
I just would like to point out that we spent, by we I mean you guys, spent a good 10 minutes talking about Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, like it was marijuana. And I just would like to point that out because kids.
Because of cookies?
Drugs are bad. Stay off of them.
Well,
However, if you're going to have cookies, I would recommend Paniki from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, did you get those?
Yes.
Look.
Yes. No, I want to let James actually talk so we can stay on topic. Fuck this. We're going to have a good show. Get on with it, James.
Oh.
I want to see the new iteration of the show sponsored by Paniki. That's what
Paniki.
I really hope.
Yes. We are open to Czech sponsors. We really are.
I just want to say, because it relates to Paniki, the greatest cookie ever was, if you are out there and you're like, hey, I really want to send TB and Dodger and Jesse and James free stuff to look at, and you're a game company and you want us to actually give it consideration, do what Turtle Strike did and send us a box of chocolates and delicious things.
It was full of Czech
why
stuff.
I'm in.
Yeah, we got a giant box from, they're launching a game called Turtle Strike on Android, which is supposedly a competitive title. And they sent us a box of Czechoslovakian snacks. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And I bit into it, it's like, this is banana chocolate. This is very strange here, but I'm surprisingly liking it. But,
Yes.
Banana chocolate isn't strange. That's a very common team of
That's what you need to do. I'm just saying, not because I'm a shill and will say your game's great, but Turtle Strike may be the best game of our generation.
Crying out loud. All right, let's get us back on topic. So, Dodger, before I rudely interrupted you, and then James interrupted Jesse, and Jesse, I'm assuming this is all Jesse's fault. Dodger, what was your point?
All I was going to say is that if you love games, regardless of if you've put a lot of time into one game, you will be interested in seeing what another one is like.
So, actually, that's perfect because my response to that was, I agree, but I think that one of the things that keeps people in one specific MOBA is the fact that the information ceiling is so high. Like, learning all those characters, learning all those...
Yes.
And so it's not only sunk costs in terms of dollars and time, but also just like brain space, right? Like, I don't want to have to go learn all that again for a new MOBA. And so I think that MOBAs are slightly different than talking about casual FPS migration,
Yeah.
right?
Because an AK is
and
an
it's
AK in whatever game you go into, right? At the end of the day, it's going to fire the same way for the most part. But going into, if I play League for 1,000 hours, which I've played more of that, I think, than anything else, and then I go to Dota, that doesn't make me good at Dota. In fact, it probably makes me worse because I've got a lot of bad habits going on.
Because you have like presumptions, yeah.
Yeah, I have certain presumptions, and I play in certain ways, and even muscle memory has developed. You know, the way that last hits work in that game. Oh, suddenly denies are a factor. Oh, suddenly I have a 50% mischance over hills. Oh, suddenly there are runes, and this guy's gonna stomp me with double damage who just came out of nowhere with it. There's so much more. But yeah, I mean, I think James is right there. I think, you know, maybe Dota-style games are a bad example, but they're one of the kind of only ones that are because of that. It's that shooters probably, yeah, I think so.
Well, I think actually it's this problem, and I mean, I think the TF market they already tried to address with Battlefield Heroes.
Yes, yeah.
But I think it's the same flaw back when free-to-play and especially like Facebook games and casual games are really getting the attention of the AAA industry for the first time. I used to hear all this conversation about graduating up the audience, how you'd have all these people who were bejeweled players all of a sudden starting to play Call of Duty, right? That clearly hasn't happened, and it makes total sense, right? Because we see this in some ways with any form of retail, right? There is a certain amount up that chain you can get. You can get people who go to McDonald's and buy their cup of coffee in the morning to start going to Starbucks, right? And buy that extra sugary drink. That's one tier up. But you're not necessarily going to graduate that person to a coffee aficionado, right? To the hardest of the hardcore of that particular genre. And I'm worried that the same thinking is going on here with the Plants vs. Zombies. And I'm worried that if that tanks, it's going to be a huge problem for PopCap internally and in terms of EA relations, and that's not something I'd like to see.
Yeah, do you think that's why though? That's why they want people to play the harder games, like, because to me it seems like this is. I see the Team Fortress 2. I see it as like we want the Team Fortress 2 audience. We want them because they're a little more casual. And
I really disagree. And the reason I disagree on the subject of TF2 is like TF2 versus like Garden Warfare. If we talk about what Garden Warfare actually is, yeah? Garden Warfare is a 4-player co-op wave-based third-person shooter, yeah? This is actually a genre. Basically, there's an attempt right now within the industry, and there has been for the last couple of years, to turn Horde mode from a bonus mode into a full-on game.
Into a game.
Yeah. Yep. And it's been done with various titles, and more often than not, it's done very badly. There are examples of games that do it well. Killing Floor is a great example of a game that does it phenomenally well. One of the best Horde modes I've ever seen. And then there are games like Nazi Zombie Sniper Elite and God Mode, of all bloody things. And recently, RIPD by exactly the same sodding company, which is a horribly boring Horde mode in a game. And they see it as people love co-op, people love zombie waves, and mild progression systems. So this is a very, very easy genre to create a game within. And to me, all Garden Warfare represents, it may very well be that there is a grander scheme behind it, but maybe we are giving EA a little too much credit. It is possible.
I think so.
We might be. I don't know.
I actually don't. I do actually believe that EA is trying to dislodge Call of Duty from the sole console multiplayer game, because unfortunately they've spent so much money on FPSs and on developing FPS engines, and I mean they really, really want a part of that billion-dollar market that right now Activision controls all of.
Pretty much.
And so we may be giving them too much credit, but to me that's the overarching strategy I see there. It'd be lovely if each of these sold well and create a new genre, but I'm not sure that EA isn't thinking of them as a way to move people into some of their other games where they can't dislodge audience from Call of Duty.
That's an interesting point, because I think the fact of the matter is they've tried to take them on head-on before and directly steal that audience whole cloth, and Warfighter is the result of that, which was... a goddamn disaster. So instead of trying to take them on whole cloth, you take on parts of what the Call of Duty experience is, one of which is the Horde mode. Yeah, the zombie mode in that game is a very strong selling point to that title, and a lot of people spend a lot of time playing it because it is actually a bit more casual than playing Call of Duty. As casual as COD is in comparison to most FPS, what's even more casual is a co-op experience, not a competitive experience. You're not going to get yelled at by people much in COD Zombies.
Speaking of co-op experiences, have any of you guys played Warframe?
Yes,
No.
it's fucking phenomenal. Like, for a
If I
free-to-play
was
game,
14, I would just spend all my days just playing Warframe.
yeah, space ninjas and
Dude,
chopping people
wall
to
running?
pieces. Oh, yeah, hyperspeed wall running, parkour nonsense, backflips,
Right.
sliding with guns.
Sliding double guns?
I love
So
that.
good.
Sliding with a sword, where you do the slide and it'll spin around and chop the legs off them as you go past. And there might as well just be an explosion in the background as you casually saunter off after that. Oh,
So
Warframe.
Warframe is, to me, the best recent example of just taking it to 11, right? Like, sometimes if you just need a junk food game, Warframe is just so good for that.
Yeah. The only problem I've got with Warframe is I feel that the microtransactions are too expensive and the progression takes too long if you don't buy in. You know?
Right.
So I
I
think
mean, there's a
that's
lot of things that are tedious about it.
Yeah.
I am just amazed at how well they captured being awesome, right?
They really did, actually. They really did. I think the first video I ever did of that game, I said, you know, it'd be really great if you could do this, and then the next patch, here's wall running. It's like, I just said you should do that. That's so amazing. You were obviously thinking about this before I was. You were clearly inside of that, you know. And that was the great thing. They obviously know what they want to do with that game, and as a result, they've been able to just go hog wild with it because, as it turns out, it's actually a very popular game right now. It's got over 1 million players. It's doing really well in the free-to-play space, and there's not that many co-op-focused games that are free-to-play.
Right. That's what's amazing. It's a co-op focused FPS, free to play that's successful.
Yep.
We just don't see those.
No, we don't.
Have we talked about any of the news topics?
Not at all. Not.
News.
Way to go, James.
I do what I can.
Jesse James about to blast off the speed of light by the looks of it.
Does that mean that you're our Meowth? Oh my God.
No,
and Dodgers Wobba Fett.
No, Dodgers Meowth. Come on.
No, Dodgers Wobba Fett. You're Meowth. Done.
I want to be coughing.
Done. Nope.
Let me be
Done.
coughing.
Can I be
Done.
Arbok?
Shut it, Wobba Fett. Wobba Fett. That's you.
I don't even know what that is. Is that not one of the original 151st? Because I don't recognize anything outside of that.
Buffet? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recognize those as real. So I'm one of those
That is
guys.
a fan art. Enjoy, James.
Oh, God.
Oh, wait, no. I'll be the woman, though. Screw it. I usually am.
I was gonna say.
Nothing unusual there.
In
Kind of.
fan art, I usually am.
Pretty much every
Whatever.
Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we will attempt to talk about news. There's actually a couple of interesting topics that I do want to broach, and then we'll go into a break. So the first one is there's just been a bunch of new games greenlit, and I would love to talk just a little bit about some of those, if you don't mind, because one of them is Dive Kick.
Yay!
All right.
Dive Kick. I think Dive Kick gets a bad rap. The reason I think it gets a bad rap is because, well, actually, it's mostly self-inflicted from them. It started as a joke game, but then became not a joke game, but it's still kind of a joke game. And yet, actually gets a lot of respect from the fighting game scene as boiling down the essence of a fighting game to its bare essentials.
I don't. Having been at Evo and seen the reception it got, I don't know if it's a lot of respect. It's a lot of curiosity.
Curiosity,
A lot of
yeah.
a lot of interest. Like, people are interested in seeing what it's about and playing it and testing it, because it's really one of those if you get hit you're dead kind of things. So it's very quick, and people are interested in it because there's a lot of strategy of back and forth before you try to attack. And so I don't know that it got a huge reception at Evo, but I mean,
Every
I guess
time
that's the
I've seen it-
hardcore of the hardcore, so I don't know.
Every time I've seen it, there was actually a really interesting article that just came out, I think, on GameSpot, where Gutex, who is very big in the fighting game scene, was talking in depth about it, and a lot of the guys behind the fighting game community have said, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this game that seems to be the essence of what a fighting game is, but with a lot of the complexity removed and boiled down to pure strategy and pure kind of minute by minute, second by second reactionary gameplay and a lot of predictive stuff as well. But I don't know if I'm taking it more seriously than it's taking itself.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know if it matters, right? Because what I found really compelling about it was this fact that as a non-hardcore fighting player, right? Like, I'll play some fighting games, but I very rarely end up memorizing all the moves, right? I can still get at that essence of tournament fighting play, right? Like, the things that actually make fighting games really interesting, that make it a chess match rather than button mashing.
Exactly.
Is available finally to me, right, as a player, which I thought was just fantastic.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I'm decent at fighting games. I'm not amazing at them, and I can play on a reasonable level. But I feel that I could give this game to someone that has never seen a fighting game in their life, and they could probably take some rounds off me, and it would be interesting to do. Whereas if I sit down with a fighting game versus someone that hasn't played a fighting game, they will lose. I mean, that's the reality of it. Now, I'm not even that good, so I can't imagine how it is for people that are better. And with Dive Kick, it's a great equalizer, honestly. And I love that about it. I really do.
That's a good way to put it.
It's tense as well. It's really tense, especially once it gets down to match point, simply because you know that one hit is all it takes. So it becomes a really interesting kind of adrenaline-fueled experience, in my opinion. Also, I beat the creator of it over and over again, and I feel so good about that. What can I say? I entered the Lang Zone.
Did you play Bushido Blade back in the day?
Oh, a long time ago. Only a bit of it here and there.
That
But
was so good.
That was another example of a game where it could, one hit kills were possible.
Right. That's what I thought was really interesting, right? Like that moment of build up before the fight, right? Waiting for your opponent to blink to strike.
Yeah.
But yeah, go for it. I am so done.
No, there's at Evo there was a whole area that was all indie games and it was really cool. And there were two, and for the life of me, I feel like a giant ass because I can't remember the name of them. But if you ever see them, you need to play these. The first one is your two little pixel guys. So it's a fighting game, but your two little pixel guys with swords.
Nidhogg. It's Nidhogg.
Yes.
But you keep running at each other? Is that what?
Yeah. Nidhogg.
Consistently delayed till the end of time. Now apparently it's finally coming out.
It is terrific because basically it's like two armies, but you're only one guy at a time meeting.
Yeah.
And then you kill a guy and you keep moving across the screen to like a different area and like another. So it's a blast, and so that was really, really fun. And then there's another one that is you play as 4 samurai warriors that you can select, and you play on this one map. And it's all one-hit kills. So you have like fireballs and stuff that you can throw, but it's free for all, and you're trying to kill everybody. And if you slash them, they like explode on the screen in blood. But it's all little tiny pixels. And there's some maps, like there's one where you're just falling through the trees as you like have to fight each other. You're perpetually falling, and you're like, it's really creative. And then at the end, if two people are tied, they go into like a samurai showdown with the sun setting in the background. They have to run at each other, and whoever gets the first hit off wins. And the guy like explodes and dies. It's the best. And I wish I could remember what that was, because the completionist and I played it for maybe 45 minutes, and we're like, we challenge anyone to battle. I wasn't very good, but I had a blast because it was really fun. And it's those kind of games that I'm like, that's the easy stuff I like, where you don't need zero skill to play that, but it's fun because you can get off those shots every now and again, and it's a good party game. And I was like, we need more of that. I'm down with that.
There's a high skill cap too, right? Like there are actually, like as you play the game, you do understand it better and get better at it and start being able to strategize.
Yeah, but you can avoid the muscle memory issues that seem to plague a lot of people. It's like the idea of fighting games that, I can't play this because I'd have to memorize all the combos and things like that. And yes, there are plenty of games where if you don't know those things, you're going to be in a crap ton of trouble. But I love fighting people that are that guy that learned every combo and learned every move, but they have no understanding of the strategy behind it. So like, look at all his that doesn't work because you didn't do it at the right time. You weren't thinking. You didn't try and put me in a position where that would have worked out, so I'm going to kick your ass. And that's great. I think that's dive kick in a nutshell, And
I think you see that, and I'm glad that dive kick allows you to do that on a really easy level, because you see that watching at Evo the players who were like, I'm playing this guy, and you think like, oh, well, he just knows how to play that specific character very, very well. And when they start losing, you see them flip a switch where it's like, all right, what's the counter to the person who's kicking my ass right now? And you saw them do that many, many times where they would come back and win. And it was like, that's the people who know what they're doing. And I'm glad that dive kick sort of brings that down to like, you feel like you have that, even though you really
Yeah.
You really don't.
Bless
Very
you.
true. Thank you. Other games on the list, A Hat in Time, which I know a lot of people have been really happy about
So
seeing.
excited for that game.
That's a fun game.
Yep.
Go watch the Greenlight episode on it. It's the best.
Yes. Broforce. All
Is
caps, of course.
amazing.
Yep.
Is
I need to try that.
amazing.
I believe that you can try the
What is
free
that?
alpha of that, can't you? You've played it, Jesse, haven't you?
Yes, Broforce. How do I describe it? Broforce is it's a game where you play as
action platform game.
perfect. It's a game where
Well
you play
done.
as all American like action heroes, every single one. If you think one's in there, it probably is. And you run around and blow stuff up, and things explode. You kill your friends, and then when you beat the level, it blows up the level, and only one person survives. So it's kind of like just ridiculous, over the top, silly
Well,
fun.
this sounds like a really good episode of the co-optional play show.
And the best part is you can have like a bunch of people who play it, but you can, if someone dies, you can save them and they become another bro. And I discovered there's a really great, I think people made like a gift set of it, which is really funny. The guy Blade, which I don't know what his name is, like Broade. I have no clue what they call him in this. But you play as
Bro-aid,
Blade,
delicious.
and you get your sword, right? And so you just can slice through the level. And I was like, I'm gonna slice through this entire level. I went from one point to the end, just murdering everything with my blade. And I was like, that was great. And the next level, I was like, I'll do it again. And was instantly shot in the face. It's like, well, that didn't work out too well. And all the heroes have different things. So like the Commando Schwarzenegger versus the Terminator Schwarzenegger are like the Terminator one has a gun that fires so far that you fly backwards. There's I'm trying to think, the MacGyver guy you play, like Bro-Guyver, whatever his name is, he throws bombs that take a while to go off, so you end up getting screwed. I mean, it's amazing game. So anyone you can imagine is in there. Oh, there's John McClane and like and because all the weapons are relate to the movie that they come from. When you play as Will Smith from Men in Black, he has that little cricket, so it fires and explodes giant areas of the map, and he flies backwards.
That sounds hilarious.
That sounds so great.
I want that on the basis of that, and only that.
It is such a good game. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
Hilarious.
Yep. Let's see, what else there? Among the Sleep is coming along. I refuse to play that game. It looks way too creepy.
Why, you're a baby.
Here's the thing, though. Having played it, it is creepy as balls. But with that said, I'm still under the impression, since you're playing a baby, nothing too horrible
Nothing
can
is
happen.
gonna happen. Yeah.
Probably
don't-
not true.
You think they're gonna murder a baby? You're
Yes.
playing a baby.
I legitimately think they will probably do something like that or creepier. You know,
What if the spoiler at the end is you aren't a baby, but you're a man who has a baby fetish, and you're dressed up in a diaper?
let's move on, shall we? To
That's it. You nailed it. You
I'm
got
just saying,
it.
that way they can get away with murdering you. That's the twist.
Yep. There are a few other games on this list that look interesting, such as Deadly Premonition, the director's cut.
Ah,
Oh yeah.
Finally,
Yes.
it makes its way to PC.
Sexual.
No, it doesn't. It's on Greenlight now. Like, they won't even get it on Steam yet. I'm furious about that. That's like a legit real game, and they're like, no.
Yes. The fact that Deadly Premonition had to go through Greenlight is kind of ridiculous. That makes no sense whatsoever. I have no idea why that happened. We could talk for ages about the Greenlight process. I mean, even this week, Valve said,
we have
yeah, it's pretty rubbish. And we have, repeatedly talked about this. It's like, yeah, but why on earth did Deadly Premonition, of all things, have to go through the Greenlight process? I mean, really
Did it
now?
get through?
Oh, yeah. This is what we're talking about, Jesse. You might have
Okay.
noticed. We had a topic about this we introduced 10 minutes ago.
Sorry. I was under the impression, because yesterday, Josh and I filmed more episodes of the Greenlight, and it was still listed as not approved.
It just happened 2 hours ago. That's why. So
All right. That's why I was like, what?
yes,
So that's good. Good for
But
them.
Deadly Premonition going through the Greenlight process is the stupidest thing I've heard of in a long time.
Because it's a legit game that has a director's cut, and you can get it on every console. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yup.
Whatever.
And has this weird cult following behind it. And I'm gonna be
great.
entirely frank. I have not played it. I have heard
I'm
very
playing.
strange things. I heard a lot of strange things from Giant Bomb, and it's got this weird cult following surrounding it now.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I'm telling you, it's like Fahrenheit in that level of like, it starts out and you're kind of like, oh, this is creepy. And then you're like, what is happening? That's why I love it.
It's got that like amazing and terrible. It's got the level of uncanny that Twin Peaks has.
Yes.
And I mean, it steals so much from Twin Peaks.
Plus,
but, like,
coffee, guys. Coffee.
Dude,
I'm just
coffee.
saying. Coffee.
Yeah.
It's an inside joke from the game, coffee. You'd love it, Dodger. Drink the coffee, kiddo.
Have any of you guys played Off?
Yeah.
Dodger's done a
Yes.
series on that.
So, because that to me is like a French David Lynch remixing Earthbound. And so I just figured I'd get a mention out while
That's a
we're talking
fantastic
about
way to put
it.
that game. Yeah, we talked about that game. I think, have we talked about it while you've been on here, TB? Or was that only when Krender was
No, you
running
didn't.
it?
I noticed you were doing a series on it, and I didn't watch any of it. So
I have. That's okay.
Just saying.
But there are meat rivers. That's all you need to know.
Oh.
There's an entire area where there are meat rivers because meat is the first and most important element. TB.
I don't disagree with that. I'm on board now. There we go. It is, in fact.
It's Off is a very, very interesting game that gets progressively more twisted.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out why Deadly Premonition had to go through Greenlight. It's going through Greenlight under Rising Star. Did Rising Star publish anything on PC? Because probably not. They're a huge console publisher. Like, they put out so much stuff. They haven't done a thing on PC. This would be the first thing they've released, and Valve, I guess, turned around and said, "You have to go through the Greenlight process." Yeah, great. You know, the fact that I've put out 30 games on various different platforms, including stuff that is actually good, like, you know, Rune Factory, which is legitimately good. They published Muramasa in Europe, which is amazing. Way of the Samurai 3, the only game I know where you can perform Bushido with a leak. I believe there's a fish weapon in that game too, so...
I mean, naturally.
Yeah, obviously. They're kind of a strange publisher, because they publish some really weird stuff like Girls Fashion Shoot for 3DS, and then they publish like hardcore JRPGs and weird stuff. They published Bit Trip on 3DS and Wii. It's like, ugh.
They purchased Virtue's Last Reward.
Yes, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Very good game. Yeah, it boggles my mind that they would have to go through Greenlight. That's very strange, but the Greenlight is very strange, so there you go. What else is coming out? Let's see. The only other one that I personally know on there, and the rest of you, if you see something else on there that you want to point out, feel free. The only other one that I know is Recoil, which is
anything about that game?
It's a first-person shooter, multiplayer. It's fairly Counter-Strike-esque. It's got a lot of interesting older school elements, and they are the kind of people that like to really, really listen to their the kind of people playing the beta and things like that. They're actually a really cool dev that has a massive background in playing and enjoying old school shooters, and they just wanted to make a game with legit weapons that wasn't like Call of Duty. And they said, we want to make something that's got full modding support, full customizable, dedicated servers, and it's designed for esports, and it's just a core shooter, and it's actually pretty good. What I played of it anyway, I played it at PAX last year, and the version then was really solid. Like, I enjoyed what I played of it. So that's been greenlit.
PAX is like a little over a month away.
It's almost here, 5 weeks away.
I just realized, I'm so excited.
It's 4 days long.
4
I don't know how
days.
It is
to live
4 days.
through it.
Oh, you've done Gamescom though, right?
Yeah, but I have to speak a lot more at PAX. I think I have like 6 talks. Last year I had like 8. And
Wow.
Right.
Man.
We do one, and that's it. We're like,
What
we're
you
done.
do. I run around for 12 hours a day doing interviews and coverage and dev commentary for like...
Yeah, that's silly, TB.
That sounds like a lot of work, buddy. That sounds like
Who knows? I might even have an Artemis game I have to run at this one.
Yeah!
If only
Finger guns.
If only we could be involved in that in some way.
I'll talk to people, see what I can do.
Well, yes. We're not going to promise anything, guys, because 90% of what gets said on the show
Actively
never
not
happens.
talking.
But,
Right.
Oh, you know what's going to happen?
but
We're going to get emails until November. Like, what happened to that thing you talked about that one time?
Yep.
It's great because on our panel, I'm just going to tell them that you guys blew it. Like, that
Yeah,
we
you
were all
can blame
planning to do
us.
it. Right,
That's fair.
totally. I'm blaming Jesse specifically.
Yeah, that
Oh,
makes
damn
no
it.
sense.
Maybe
Especially
that's
since
what
he
people expected.
disconnected while we were talking about
Well,
it.
on our
I think
panel,
he's
we'll
really the
blame
only
you for
person.
screwing it up, and the arms race
is
will
great.
begin.
Yes.
Can we have rap enemies? Oh, this would be great. We only must settle this in a rap battle.
Yeah. Our panel actually might be so late that there might not be another panel after it. You know what that means,
Really?
kids? Yeah. I think we're like at 9 or 10. I'm not sure if that's the last panel in that one.
Late night panel! Late night panel!
If it is, I'm staying in there for hours. We'll do a full 3-hour show. It'll be amazing.
Oh, late night
Ours
panels.
always go. Yeah. Late night panels, we always go till like 4 hours.
I want to serve
We
chicken
got
wings to the
58
crowd.
minutes that last time,
Yeah.
and we filled the room out. It was.
Order delivery at the start of your panel. It works out great.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing. I want this.
Yeah.
Primarily because I am hungry right now. But I bet that I'll be hungry at that panel that we do.
We need to find
I'd
that
imagine
place
so.
that's near the convention center called Little Woody's, and the mascot is a little wood man, and I want them to deliver food because I think it'd be great. Little Woody's, call me.
Let's not go
is
to
a
the place that I went.
little-
You remember last year, Jesse, the place that we went to where they couldn't even get me a sandwich out on time before I had to go back.
I
for an
remember that
appointment?
place very well because two random girls.
Yeah, you kept getting hit on.
And
It was.
it made me feel good, and then I would look over at T and be like, "Well," it was wonderful. I was like, "That was awkward, wasn't it, for you?"
What can I say? Jesse gets a lot of attention. All right, do we want to take a break now, or do we want to talk about the news that just came out that Microsoft has said, yeah, you can self-publish? Or do you want to take a
cool
break
with
before we
either.
do that? Should we take a break before we do that?
Yeah, let's take a break. Look,
All right,
yes.
we'll take a break. We'll come
I'll make
back.
choices.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about that news because I think that's pretty important. That just came out in the last couple of hours, so I want to talk about the self-publishing for indies thing on Xbox One. And then we'll run through releases, we'll have a look at some trailers, and we will talk about James's new project. You are watching the Co-optional Podcast. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Game Station. Bollocks.
Yes.
Yeah, it happened. It finally happened. Ah, damn. This is going to be a habit. This is a difficult thing to break. What can I say?
It's fair. We have no reason to say
Well,
it.
I mean, this is
Like,
still a game station. This is a station upon which we discuss games. But upon this station, there is a show called the Co-optional Podcast, and that is what you are currently watching. Welcome back.
It's
Simple
like
as
the
that.
O's are headphones, guys.
Yeah. It looks like a D.
The
No.
P is a microphone.
It looks like a penis. No.
It's about to enter the headphones.
I was going to say, if it looks like that, then you need to go see a specialist, quite frankly. That's not common by any stretch of the imagination. All right. I want to talk about this whole self-publishing thing, because this has been, I feel, one of the bigger deals we got in the Xbox One that a lot of people have been annoyingly ignoring because they're more interested in bitching about used games. But the self-publishing issue has just supposedly resolved itself, apparently. We will see how true that is. So, news that came out very, very recently. Of course, if you are watching the VOD on YouTube, this has been out for some time. But if you're watching live, like you should be, then we now know Microsoft will be letting, quote, developers publish their own titles on its Xbox One console. Mark Whitten from Microsoft released the following statement saying, "Our vision is that every person can be a creator, that every Xbox One can be used for development, that every game and experience can take advantage of all of the features of Xbox One and Xbox Live. This means self-publishing. This means connect the cloud achievements. This means great discoverability on Xbox Live, and we'll have more details on the program and the timeline at Gamescom in August."
But what does that mean?
Not a damn thing.
Right? That's gibberish. That's gibberish speak.
Well, I mean, they will have more details on it in August, but apparently they eventually wanted to just come out and say, we'll have self-publishing guys on us, we're just not going to tell you how.
Well,
Okay.
I'm just worried that it'll be like Xbox community games or the Xbox Live indie channel.
Yeah,
right.
well, it's just a useless dumping ground.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where I'm concerned. I mean, the languaging that they're offering suggests that, right? That we're going to have our same sort of unsearchable, unsortable pile of user-generated content.
Yeah.
And I'm all for user-generated content, but I would like to see some curation on their side. And I'm worried that the curation will be, do you have a publisher?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think that if you want to look at the state of Xbox Live Indie right now, then you will see maybe for every decent game that's on there. I'm not going to say great game because there aren't that many great games on Xbox Indie, I'm afraid. Sorry, it's just true. You will find 100 Minecraft clones and nonsense shooters and dating games and crap like that. And it is an uncurated mess. You cannot find good games there. The only thing I think you could really do is kind of look at the top selling list, which will be full of Minecraft clones. Less so now that Minecraft is actually out on Xbox Live, but prior to that, I remember going on that section and seeing, I'm pretty sure I saw I Made a Game with Zombies in it and 9 clones of Minecraft, and that was the top 10.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people, because indie games are getting like more and more in the culture, and people are like, wow, those indie games are great. We need to always remember 90% of indie games are trash. Just garbage.
This is true about everything, right?
Yes.
Like 90% of TV shows, 90% of video games, whatever you have.
Yep.
But they're totally worth it for that 10%. I just would like to make sure that we get to see
the 10%.
Yep.
Exactly.
So I've got to ask, because this ties in nicely to Greenlight, what level of curation do you think should be applied? Because right now what we're seeing with Valve is their definition of curation is, well, we have a system that says the public decides. However, the number of votes that you need to do that is fairly obscenely high and also completely obfuscated. There are games getting on which were not as highly ranked as other games which don't get on for whatever reason. There's not an arbitrary poll that you need to pass in order to actually just guaranteed get on the service. And then, of course, there are the other games that just got passed entirely. How do you curate that and make sure that you find the best stuff, keep out the awful stuff, but still allow enough leeway to say, well, I don't think this game is very good, but other people might?
I don't think
there's a... Go for it. Go. Just go.
No, go for it.
Just go. Okay, fine, I will.
No.
God damn it, this is like a Canadian attempting to cross the street. No, you. Come on, get on it.
No, I was going to say that I think that, in theory, having talked to a lot of the indie developers for the Greenlight show, there is like a weird thing where once you get above a certain number of votes, then you're on this list. And the list is what Valve takes a look at when they decide. Because in theory, what it's supposed to be is people vote for what they think is the best, and then those people are decided upon by Valve to go like in, right? And when you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, no, that I can understand how that works. So they can sort of filter out what would be, just voted based on like what 4chan decided to do that day, things like that. And so, oh yeah, we got this. We're gonna curate this. But also in theory, communism sounded great too. It just doesn't work. And
really?
I feel like
really, that's where you went with that. Okay.
I did. Thank you.
All right.
And so I feel like this is. I mean, in theory, the way they do Greenlight sounds like it should be flawless. But because they don't follow their own rules and they do whatever the hell they want to do, they screw it up for themselves. So you have all these people who are like, we're on the top 15 list. Oh, thank you guys so much. You helped us out. And then they sit there for a year.
Months.
And it's like, why? I mean, people want this thing. Eventually you should let it on. But then there's other things that no one votes for where Steam's like, sure, you're in. It's like, what? And so they screwed up themselves. They caused their own problems.
Yes, that is unfortunately very true, and we've spoken about that with the paranormal activity issue. But, James, what was your comment on this?
Well, my comment is mostly that I don't think that community curation is the wrong way to go, but I think that one of the problems with Greenlight is it's so hard to sort Greenlight itself, right? If I am actually an active community member interested in seeing the best games get on Steam, I can't do it. Right? Like it takes a monumental amount of effort to go find things that I might actually want to help put up there, right?
And more to the point, a lot of people just don't want to do it because it's a pain in the ass to try. There's no incentive. And
so I think that there's the only way currently to get greenlit is to have a lot of outside publicity, which is not, in my opinion, the intended effect of Greenlight, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
have you ever tried to go through Greenlight? I feel like that's their only way, because the way Greenlight's put together is just like when you're talking about the indie space on Xbox. It's just they're all thrown up, and you can't really search it. You just have to like keep scrolling through and look at what they have, which is garbage.
Right, but I think that the poor search tool is part of the problem, right? I think there are ways to, we have user-curated spaces like Wikipedia that have fantastic search capabilities, right? And I think that's one of the things that's lacking, right? The ability as a user to find things that might be experimentally interesting to me, right? And get my hands on them and play them. And so I think that the users need more tools if they're going to effectively curate is part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's then the idea that if you're going to spend a significant amount of time looking at Greenlight, then I would expect something in return for that, because you are basically doing Valve's job for them in that respect.
Right.
Yes.
And if you don't spend a lot of time, you just like vote for random stuff, then that defeats the point of the process. There's no reason for the process to even be there, which makes it very difficult, because if you incentivize it and say trading cards, that's a good way to incentivize it for the people that care about that stuff. But then I'll just click random stuff to get trading cards.
So it actually is, we have systems to deal with that because we have to deal with that in games all the time, right? Unless the majority of your votes go with the majority opinion, right? Like, you don't get anything, right? There's lots of ways to ensure that you aren't just randomly clicking. And so I actually think that we can deal with people trying to game that system, but the system has to be better in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it does need to be incentivized.
Big shout out to IndieStatic.com for actually going through all the Greenlight games and picking out what is good and what is garbage.
Yeah.
Good work, gentlemen.
IndieStatic also frequently on top of the whole Greenlight issue, actually, one of the only sites to be repeatedly covering it and have been hammering on the paranautical activity issue, which Valve are doing a fantastic job of stonewalling the shit out of, I might add. Which is irritating, to say the least. And I'm not going to let them bloody go on it. It's nonsense. We sent them an email actually asking for a statement on the matter, and we just waited 3 weeks and we just got nothing. It's like, well, I'm going what I got then. Sorry, if you're pissed off about me condemning you, you had a chance to tell your side of the story and you chose not to do it. And you can say, oh, well, we don't think the Greenlight process is very good. Yeah, we get that, but you're not fixing it. We know it's not good. This isn't news to us.
So, what do you guys think they can do other than essentially tear it down and start again?
I don't think they should. I don't think they should, because I feel like a lot of the developers, there's got to be a way to fix it internally the way it is, because tearing it down, I know a lot of people put a lot of work into getting attention drawn to that, and they're going to be like, you mean I have to resubmit and I have to do all this stuff over again? And there's going to be just a lot of people who are put off by it, but it might be a good idea. I don't know. I don't know how these things work.
I would argue that because they actually built that audience and attention anyway, regardless of what is done with the Greenlight system, that audience doesn't suddenly disappear. They still have people interested in it. So I don't think that tearing it down and completely remaking it is actually going to hurt that many people. I think you could probably get away with that. But it's... Really what I want to see from the system is consistency. That's the biggest problem I've had from it up to this point, the fact that they don't follow their own rules, and that they seem to move the goalposts repeatedly. And the paranautical activity episode is just one of those things, And it's probably the biggest and most public example of the system just making no damn sense. And just say, well, so why was this denied? No, I want an explanation, Valve. No, tell us why it was denied. It's like, we don't discuss that. Right, well, that's not useful then, is it?
It's definitely not the game, because we just played that on the Greenlight show. It's fantastic. It's a really great game. So it's not the game. It's not gameplay. There's nothing offensive in the game. It's all business side garbage, which is just...
I want the system simplified with a clear set of rules that is stated, available publicly. I want that information to be there for the people using the system to have, as opposed to just the developers, and I want Valve to stick with it. I want them to abide by their own rules. I don't find the system ideal. I think that a popularity contest for devs that should be working on their game, not working on marketing their game, is a waste of time. But it's either that or trust them with curating the damn thing themselves again, in which they didn't do well either. And see Space Pirates and Zombies and Unepic. Dodger, yes.
So I almost never use Greenlight because, again, I find it awful. But I'm curious, you don't have to have a demo in order to be on Greenlight, right?
No,
you don't.
Weirdly, no. That is something that I wish you had.
I feel like that's something that I would really love.
I think you have to be able to play the games. Like otherwise, how can you possibly judge?
Because that's like I was talking with Jesse about this the other day, that when you're asking people to support you, you have to be able to give them something to experience or something to look forward to aside from just this vague idea. And I know that they have to make videos and all this other stuff in order to show you something. But if they gave you a demo, if every game that was on Greenlight gave you a demo, I feel like I would be on there way more often.
Yeah. And it would then need to make those demos easier to browse. Because I feel like a system whereby you have a library of stuff you can instantly try for free is compelling.
Yes. Right.
And then what you do is you toss an achievement or a trading card in for beating the damn demo or completing an objective or something along those lines.
You know what I would love? I would love if there was just like a random button.
Oh,
and you just
play random game. It doesn't even tell you what it is while it downloads it.
And every demo is like embedded into the browser somehow. So you can just click random and it's like, here's a demo.
And that just downloads
click random, here's a new demo. You're just like playing all the games.
That would be a really
great.
interesting way of experiencing games. Yeah, I think so. Admittedly, there are downsides with that. Creating a demo is a costly process. It's not free.
Yeah.
But I think that is also one of the things that will help decrease the funnel into Greenlight, which is something that needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
I think it's actually positive because, I mean, demo is going to cost you a little bit more than just making the game, but a lot of that you're going to have to make to actually get this game out the door anyway. And I think that that's a reasonable hurdle and a reasonable expectation, and a much better a way for a viewer, for a member of the community to help judge. But on the other hand, we're saying all this, I at the same time want to give a shout out to Valve, because they tried to do something which, granted, was for them. They didn't have enough personnel. They didn't want to pay enough personnel to solely be there to do nothing but curate. But on the other hand, they are empowering the community to decide what games really get a wide platform, and that's going to allow some games that theoretically wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to be on Steam. And so I do think that the idea is positive, and in some ways I feel bad that they get as much flack as they do for trying to do something that was positive and just doing it very poorly.
Then, unfortunately, there are instances, and I could go on about the Blizzard WCS situation for hours, but I'm not going to do that, where trying to do something positive and doing it poorly can do more damage than just leaving it alone entirely. But anyway, yeah, so we now know at least there will be publication of some description. We don't know how it's going to work. We'll find out more about that in Gamescom, and that's that.
But on the other hand, right, paranormal activity, not paranormal activity, Deadly Premonitions is what I was looking for. Deadly Premonitions, right, probably would never have gotten onto Steam if it wasn't for Greenlight. Like that, I mean, given the fact that they made it go through Greenlight, it probably is something that they would have just rejected or would have sat in torpor forever.
Well, if they will. But I mean, do you really think they should have rejected that, though? I mean, a game with proven sales figures on multiple platforms and a cult following, really?
I don't get that.
I clearly don't, right? But at the same time, it says to me that Greenlight is doing some good by the fact that that ever got greenlit. If they were going to make it go through the greenlight process in the first place, I'm not sure it would have gotten the okay internally from Valve if it had just been submitted directly, right?
Well,
which I'm sure it was.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if that's the case, then Valve needs to look at themselves again, because some of the titles that have got on Steam, I hate pointing at Cranky Cat, but I'm going to point to Cranky Cat. I actually spoke a lot to those guys, and I like them a lot. They got a publishing deal with Steam like a year ago, before the Greenlight even really came about.
Right.
But their game is a very casual experience that, like, I can't understand why it's on Steam unless there's some kind of internal quota that says, we need some more casual games on the service, so, let's gather up a few. There are plenty of titles that get onto Steam that don't really deserve to be there. Yeah. R.I.P.D. being a prime fucking example. They don't curate based on game.
It's a movie.
Right to hell Retribution. Right to hell fucking Retribution. There is no. They do not curate based on quality. Yeah. So I have to wonder, like, if they did reject Deadly Premonition in the first instance, what their basis for that actually was. I would be really interested to find that out.
Do we know, maybe, I'm curious about this, because I just thought about, do we know cost? What, like, do you have to pay anything to be on Steam?
$100.
$100 for Greenlight. It's to stop troll posts.
Well, that's
basically.
Greenlight. What about Steam?
I don't think you have to get on...
It's 30%, but that's it. 30% of your sales.
Yeah.
is it possible that maybe we're looking at the wrong way, and maybe they were like, how can we save money? Let's put it on Greenlight first. Is that a thing?
What, putting on Greenlight to build up publicity for it?
It's more than that. They want to know what's going to sell before they put it up on Steam. I mean, that is the actual idea behind Greenlight, was that this way they only put up things that they're going to make a profit on, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they take.
Maybe that was them testing the waters.
But sorry, Jesse, I think you're like on the different page to James here. Jesse, you're saying that I don't think the guys behind Deadly Premonition put it on Greenlight first. They probably applied to Steam, and Valve said no.
Okay, and that's what I was saying. Like, maybe there was a strategic reason for doing it.
I can't see a single dev ever wanting to go through Greenlight as an option where they had a different option. Right. That seems unlikely. But yeah, anyway, so let's go off the Greenlight topic then and talk about releases. There aren't too many, so this should not take too long. So we do have a few games that are coming out this week. The Steam sale has finally ended, which means we are getting games on Steam again, which is always nice. So there's a couple of recent releases that came out that I would like to talk about. The Raven being one of them, actually. I have a feeling this will be something that Dodger will want to play.
The Raven?
The Raven, Legacy of a Master Thief, is a 3-part episodic kind of point-and-click murder mystery in the vein of Sherlock Holmes. And what I've actually played of it, which this is the kind of game I would usually despise, actually has a good amount of charm to it and an interesting amount of investigation. Basically, a lot of it's set on the Orient Express, and it's really quite the thing, actually, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Really quite the thing. So that just came out. I'll be hopefully looking at that over the next couple of days in greater detail, but what I've played of it so far has actually impressed me, which is greatly surprising. And we also have It'll Do that just came out. I don't know.
It'll do.
Sounds about right.
That's what it is. All right, that's the joke. It'll do. Okay.
It'll do. Yep.
All right.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me because I'm British and I pronounce it dew. So
it'll do.
It'll do. It's as simple as that.
I'm looking at this right now. Perfect. What is this game about?
I am not entirely certain.
I imagine the name came from, they just after a while were like, it'll do.
Probably.
That's the game. That's the game. They're like, it's fine.
Top-down adventure game of some description. I like how they just like flat out say 5 hours of gameplay. Like, all right, cool. Man, I wish more games just said how long it was. That would be nice. We get lengths on films, but I guess it's a little difficult to put it on a game. What else? Rugby Challenge 2 for $50. Jonah Lumo's Rugby Challenge 2. What's actually unusual about that is it's a sports game on PC, but there you go. I don't want to talk about that. And we also have Teleglitch, Die More Edition. Oh god, the suffering that game entails.
What?
Oh man. James, have you played Teleglitch?
Little bit.
Oh god, that game is a dick.
I might have just bugged them to do that for a Fan Friday. I was like, can I get a copy of that? I feel like I'm in for.
Oh, I can give you a code for that. I'll give you a code just to see you suffer.
Oh no, I got a code and I installed it. I'm just waiting for Friday, and I was like,
man.
I watched the trailer and I'm not looking forward to it.
That Teleglitch is basically a roguelike with very, very much Doom-like elements in it, based on a lot of shooting, but it's got very abstract graphics. It's like...
I heard it's like very horrifying, just scary as balls.
It's tense. Like, it's scary because of how difficult it is and how much you'll probably get murdered around the next corner. And the line of sight system, that helps in that an awful lot. It's an interesting game. Like, it's like the graphics are more representative of what's going on than actually, being anything in particular. Like, when you shoot in that game, it has a very strange effect on the screen. Like, it tries to convey the idea of the motion and the force of a bullet without actually legitimately showing you a bullet. It's really hard to explain what that game actually does in that respect. But it's ugly as balls. I'm just saying, it is. But it is a very interesting roguelike experience that will kick your ass horribly. Even the original version of this was difficult. Apparently now it's even worse. So there you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Teleglitch. Oh, that game is evil. And that is now on Steam with an even more difficult edition, because that's what we asked for, right? Yeah. You know what really interests me? Within the last 5 minutes, a game came out on Steam. called El Sword. Genres.
I'm looking at it right now.
Genres:
Yes.
free-to-play, action, adventure, RPG, platformer, casual.
It's true.
Perfect.
But nothing's gonna beat Dungeon Fighter, in my opinion, for that genre.
Yeah.
It's Dungeon Fighter. So good.
Yeah, this is a dungeon. it is actually great. This is a Dungeon Fighter-esque game, I think, by the looks of it. Although it is, seems like they have it seems to be a 3D game as opposed to a 2D side scroller.
What? No, it says right here, winner 2011 best side scroller. What?
It doesn't look like a side scroller to me. It's doing
at all. Not at all. No. I don't.
That's very strange because I'm looking at this overworld shot, and that is it's not really scrolling to the side. Let's just put it that way. That's a very.
It has,
I don't know.
It has like all these awards, like favorite action casual of 2012.
Yeah, it is a side scroll. It's just those screenshots are extremely misleading. Huh. It actually looks all right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it is a Dungeon Fighter-esque game, and I would be surprised if they were able to
be
surpass
better.
Dungeon Fighter in terms of mechanics, but like,
Yeah.
I'd be super happy to see one, right? Because I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with our side-scrolling RPG, action RPG with infinite customization, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am totally fine with that existing and may actually be downloading it at the moment.
Yeah, I might actually look into this, frankly, because this is very brawler-esque, and I do love my brawlers. And the coolest thing about Dungeon Fighter is it reminded me of an MMO version of Guardian Heroes, and as a result, it was just absolutely fantastic. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people saying that this doesn't suck. So,
while we were gone, by the way, scrolling down, it looks like Greenlight game Bleed finally came out.
oh yeah,
That game's
Bleed
really
came
fun.
out, yeah,
It's really fun. You
it's
should play
really
that.
hard as well.
It's like $5, guys. Go get it.
Bleed
It's
is pretty good, yeah. So what's actually coming out of the next few days? Well, I can tell you. Fear not.
Anything?
Yeah, Shadowrun. That's the big thing this week, really. Shadowrun's coming out on the 25th. That will be available. We don't know precisely when on the 25th at this point, but it is definitely coming out at some point on the 25th.
We do know in approximately 20 hours from now.
Ah, that's assuming Steam doesn't muck it
19
up.
hours, 16 minutes, 43 seconds.
There you go. So if you're watching the VOD, it's already out. Go and have a look at it.
It looks awesome.
It does look awesome. Yes, very much.
You can't. I can talk about it. You can't talk about it.
Back.
Oh.
All right, so other stuff that's coming out, Castle Storm on the 29th. I actually can talk about that because they sent me the best email ever. Review embargo is for the 28th, but you can say whatever you want about it or do a WTF is. Like, yes, I got the edge. Here it is. I played a bit of this. It is a game about storming castles. Yeah, no shit, right? It looks and plays kind of like, you remember those really old Flash games where you're defending your castle against waves of stuff?
Yes,
and
yeah,
you have to aim your ballista and things like that. It's like a very advanced version of that. Like, you can summon a hero into the middle of the map that you actually directly control and can do combos and moves with. You can also customize your castle and build different parts of it. The castle kind of collapses in a physics-based way, so you target weak points in the castle to bring them down. You can get loads of different projectiles and level them up, including a sheep with irritable bowel syndrome. That's a legitimate projectile. All sorts of different troop types. There's 2 different factions in that game, including Vikings, which is always fun indeed. And also has a competitive multiplayer mode where you level up and you gain more gold to you upgrade your different abilities. What I played of it, it's buggy right now, but I imagine that's going to get fixed before it comes out. It's surprisingly fun. It's good stuff, especially competitively. Trying to find just that one place where you know most of his castle's going to fall flat if you just target that enough. Oh, you can shoot the other guy's projectiles out the air with your own as well, which is kind of neat. So
When does that come out? The 29th?
yeah, the 29th. It's actually already out on 360, but the PC version is coming out on the 29th. So what else have we got?
I got to give a shout out to Skulls of Shogun because I'm going to dinner with 2 of their designers later tonight.
Sell out.
So I have to.
Sell
No,
out.
actually, it's awesome. If
Yeah, it
you
is.
want a like mid-core casual tactics game, it's quite solid. And
Yes,
I
I
know
played
they're doing
it.
a lot more to add. They're finally adding all the like RPG elements to it, which I think will add a lot.
Yep. They're also finally bringing it to a format that people can actually play it on. That's always nice.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And
Great flagship
their
of
next
Windows 8.
game. Did you see Did you see the little bit of their next game that they showed at E3?
No.
Oh, they have a really cool space fighter game coming up.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, for the PS4. It's gonna be one of the
God damn it.
I believe indie launch titles. I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't want to commit anything, but it's pretty great. It is trying to take that that moment in any of your old space fighter anime like Macross or whatever, where you're flying through 1,000 missiles, dodging all this stuff. Like, they've got it down. It's
Nice.
pretty fantastic.
That sounds like fun. Pixel Junk Monsters Ultimate HD is making its way to PlayStation Vita. Yes, the Vita's going to get a game. That's always nice.
Yay!
Well, hopefully, Pixel Junk's always been a fun series, so that should be good. And on July the 31st, Rise of the Triad for PC. Yes. I'm supposed to be getting code for that today. Dave Oshry, where are you? It's currently 5:46 p.m. You're late. Get on it. Come on. Give me my old school shooter action.
Wow.
Yeah, Rise of the Triad looking pretty killer. I played multiplayer last PAX, and I believe I came in first and was better than them, so I like that game. So it's always good. So let's crack that out. It's got a full single-player campaign as well as the multiplayer. Dog mode is still in the game. Just want to let you know, as is the Drunk Missile launcher, so very important to know. Good shit. And Cloudberry Kingdom is coming out to PC, Wii U, and Xbox Live as well on July the 31st. As well as Super Frog HD for PlayStation 3.
Super
PlayStation
Frog?
Vita.
HD.
Yeah, I'm actually very...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to know what that is.
Common mistake.
Oh, hang on. Was Super Frog that old MS-DOS game? Oh, yeah, it was. It was for Amiga and shit. Why on earth is this being
remake?
Apparently it is. I can't find a damn thing about it on YouTube at all. I look for Super Frog HD and I don't find anything other than the Amiga stuff. It's very, very odd. Huh. I have no idea what this is. That was an old Team 17 game. In 1993, I think that came out. Why on earth is that getting remade?
Because it's going to be beautiful, TB.
Yeah, totally.
Beautiful.
And apparently, according to Digital Spy, it is a worthwhile remake of an old-school platformer.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, if
It
it's,
is
so you know.
if it's
not
worthwhile.
bad.
It's all right. Super Frog HD is a great platformer in its own right that works as both an effective homage and a means of breathing new life into an underrated classic, apparently. And it seems like you collect apples.
Good.
I must attest to
Good.
not giving a damn about that.
Yep.
That's not
That's
my
a thing.
It's not my thing.
No, I'm not going to use
So that's the releases, pretty much. And we have about 50 minutes left of the show, so I really want to talk about James's project instead of wasting our time with crappy trailers as much as I would like to watch Alien Rage.
What? Come on. No, that's fine. I agree.
Let's
do it.
We'll talk about the project, and if we have enough time, we will end with Alien Rage. Okay?
I think juxtaposing those two would be perfect.
This will be amazing. All right, so James, you have a new project going on, and I would like to hear about it, and go.
Sure. So basically, I've just raised a bunch of money on Rocket Hub. We're at like $43,000 out of the $50K that I was trying to raise to see if I can take the next year of my life and roll back a lot of the other stuff I do, roll back my business, and see if I can help change the public conversation around games. Because right now, every time we hear games in the media, very often they're the whipping boy for a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Very often they're demonized. And truth be told, when I see representatives from the gaming community come out and talk about them, all we do is defend games. And what we need to do is move from defending games, from just talking about why games aren't bad, to talking about what good they can do. Because there's amazing things that games can do for education, for science, for our community in general, and for our sort of civic awareness across the board. One of the great projects of the 21st century, in my opinion, is to make life in a lot of ways more engaging, right? Because truth be told, a lot of the things that we do in our everyday lives, our schooling, our work, modern schooling was invented in the latter half of the 19th century, right? And it hasn't changed much. It's remained about as engaging as it ever was. And yet today, our leisure time is so much more engaging, is so much more compelling with films, books, television, all these things that we've we've spent billions of dollars, more than in the rest of human history combined, in learning how to make engaging. If we only use that for our leisure time, I mean, to me, that's criminal, right? And the only way we're going to use it for more things is if we start getting past this idea across the board in the public, in the media, in the political perception that games are a children's pastime, right? That they're a way to kill the hours between work and sleep for people who aren't quite adults. Because that's just false, right? We've all had meaningful experiences in games. We've all had games affect us in some way. We've all learned things from games. So that's what I'm going to spend the next year of my life doing, trying to change that dialogue by both engaging with politicians, working with grant organizations to make sure that there are more grants going to these sort of games, and of course, working with the media to start talking about all the good the games are currently doing.
Mm-hmm.
Can I send you to my dad so you can explain that to him? So he'll finally be able to explain it to the people that they meet when they ask what their son does, and they're like,
Oh, yeah, you need to talk to my dad about that. Yeah, he'll be able to explain it finally. I think my dad used to pretty much hate everything I did until I started making a fairly large amount of money out of it. And
then suddenly they're like, oh, well, okay, this is great. Keep it up.
I mean, I think in that case,
are very supportive and lovely.
I think in that situation, though, it's always like it's concern from your parents, like, oh, is he gonna be okay, kind of thing, more than I hate what you like.
No, but I think that's the perception, though, is that it's like, wait, you're gonna do what with games? What? And I think if going in you had like, it's not just sitting around playing games and acting like you're 10. There's something totally different behind that, and good on you. I think this will be great.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that the public perception should be that much different from books or any other media, right? Like,
no.
Sure, in any artistic media, I would say that the majority of the works may not be art, but there is very quality stuff here, and you never have a parent who would come up to you and say, why are you reading all those books, right? Or at least much less.
Unless, of course, you happen to be Matilda.
Oh,
Actually,
Matilda.
My sister got grounded from books all the time.
Really?
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Because she wouldn't do her chores, she'd just sit and read all day. Anyway, continue.
Too much of a good thing is bad. Too much media consumption is bad, regardless of what kind of medium you do it within, right?
Right.
Yes.
But the other thing that we need to do on our side as players of games is start thinking more about how we approach games. Because very often, I was just talking about books, right? Very often you approach a book and you don't tune out, right? You don't deny the possibility that you're going to get something from it. But sort of as a games industry, we've trained our player base that these are just for fun, right? And so it's much more difficult for creators to express things. We're talking about things like Papers, Please, and we're just getting there. But we still can't express things with the language of games to the level that I think that we'll be able to, because in general, as an audience, we've been trained to just miss those, to miss metaphor in the language of play, right?
Okay. I'd like to propose, just like put an example forward, and I'd like to know what you think about this. It's interesting that you should say that we kind of as consumers have been trained into that kind of situation. We've been put into that corner and that we're unable to absorb this stuff. But is there not also some responsibility upon the developer? I'd like to give an example of BioShock Infinite, which is a game that I've heavily criticized and said, look, this game seems to think it's more clever than it really is. It deals with its issues in a very ham-fisted way. And the biggest problem that game has is not even all of that. It's not even the case that, they won't even say a racial slur. Like, it's a racist society, yet they won't put a racial slur in the game because it might offend people. The biggest problem is you can't tell a message, you can't really express a real thoughtful message to people if the majority of the game involves slaughtering thousands of faceless people.
I mean, we did an episode on exactly the same thing, right? Like, and Dan toned down some of what I was talking about BioShock Infinite. We could go for a whole session on BioShock Infinite.
Good.
But first BioShock, right? First BioShock was much more tightly written. Everything in that game was about the central message and exploring a central idea. There was a game that you did shoot your way through, but shooting your way through made sense, right? It made sense in a Randian objectivist personal empowerment universe, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think we just have to think about the mechanics to deliver these messages. But on the other hand, all the time, I mean, I talk about the fact that you're right. There's because it's a chicken and egg problem. Major developers and publishers are afraid of doing some of these things because we were told it won't sell, right? It's amazing to me how many times I've picked up a rifle and fought on the beaches of Normandy, even played as a Nazi, and yet never been into a concentration camp in a video game, right? Mm-hmm. To me, in some ways, it should be more horrifying, more mentally disturbing to allow the player to play as a Nazi than to show what happened, right? And yet that's not how we've set up our industry.
Yeah, I guess fear is very much a factor there, quite frankly, and I suppose it's got to be a combination of these different issues that we have, in the sense that games are perceived, as you said, as a fun toy, basically, for leisure time. And we even have companies that are directly responsible for perpetuating this. Apple is a prime example. That bloody thing where they basically just said, this is not what games are for. Like, games are not for expressing these kinds of ideas. Like, really, well, who died and made you the boss of that? The rejection of the game, which was based, I believe, on the Syrian conflict, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Refusing to allow them to sell that. I mean, just basic outright censorship. So, yeah, I think we do have a lot of problems. If you do wish to support James's project, you can head on over to tinyurl.com/gamesforgood. That is tinyurl.com/gamesforgood. That will take you to the Rocket Hub. You are almost at your goal, if I recall correctly.
We're so close. We're so close. We got a little bit over a month left, and we're gonna get there. And if we can meet our first stretch goal, I'm actually gonna hire a PR agency to do nothing but focus on this, which I think we, as an industry and as consumers, need on our side.
Yeah, definitely. tinyurl.com/gamesforgood, folks, if you wish to contribute to this particular project. Is there anything else you would like to say on it, James, before we kind of wrap things up here?
No, I mean, I think that was great. I think that for all of you out there, it's just a question of looking at games and seeing what more we can get out of them, right? Because I know they've literally changed my life.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
Excellent. So that's currently going on right now, and you've got about a month left on the funding there. So let's see if we can push it over the edge by Friday. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
That'd be pretty great.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the Co-optional podcast, does it not? It seems to. So all we've really got left to do is to talk about what we will be doing during the week. So, Jesse, why don't you start us off? What you got planned? What's going on?
This week, you should look forward to tomorrow or yesterday, depending on when you're watching, the Broken Quest live stream. It's a show, and you're going to love it. It's wonderful.
Yes,
I'm not saying there's a special guest the first episode, but there is, and his name is TotalBiscuit. So, you should watch it. It'll be great. It's very funny. And live stream is happening tomorrow at noon.
Yeah, the live stream goes from noon to 4 to kind of celebrate the first episode going up. So both things are happening.
Yesterday.
Be sure to watch both.
It.
Or
You missed it.
or yesterday.
This whole time traveling thing is really starting to get irritating.
Look, it's all very Doc Brown. You wouldn't understand. Just know that you missed something amazing. And if you're watching it in the past, thanks for watching.
Indeed. Dodger,
Word.
what you got coming up?
Wait, Jesse, did you say anything that's happening on your channel?
No.
Oh,
I just ignored it.
literally, it's look, if you have ever been to my channel, you know what you're getting. And that ain't gonna ever change. So either you loves it and you're like, God, this guy is the best, or you're like, well, I have to go puke a little. It's one of the two. That's it. So stop by, watch, enjoy, and let's have some fun. That's it. Mwah.
Jesse does Let's Plays, guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's right. Oh, hi, new people. Hi. So if you're watching this for the first time, you probably are
best
like
that you don't necessarily assume that everybody knows who you are. You arrogant son of a bitch.
Oh, I'm sure they do. They just decided not to watch.
They chose
like,
to ignore you
no.
up to this point.
No, this is bad.
Yeah. Dodger, what you got coming out this week? What's going on?
So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I do gaming news, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays right now, I'm doing Dead Space 3 with Mr. Jesse, wherever he is in association with me.
I need to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
I just got a message from
Yes.
our dear colleague William, who told me to remind all of you that Friday is our Area 51 blog, or vlog.
No.
Before we went to Vegas for EVO, we went to Area 51, and it was amazing. And that will be Friday.
Can't imagine this is going to be anywhere near as interesting as it sounds. We'll see how it turns out.
There was a lot of coincidences and weird unmarked vans. And Will freaking out thinking we're going to get arrested, which is the best. So watch it.
Wonderful. Yes. So, Dodger, did you get through everything, or did he just interrupt you mid-flow?
I interrupted.
Yeah. For those of you who watch Borderlands 2 playthroughs, we're going to start with my cousin Tierney. We're going to start putting those up twice a week instead of just once. So my parts will be going up
sometime in the next millennium.
Yeah, like maybe before we die, we'll actually finish this game. So my parts will be going up on Wednesdays, and her parts will be going up on Saturdays, like you are used to. I also have another channel called Dexterity Bonus, where I do daily vlogs and drink coffee and tell you about my life. So watch that if you want. And that's me. That's my life. There you go.
So James, aside from this whole Games for Good thing, you do have a couple of other things that you do on a semi-regular basis. You want to talk a little bit about them and where people can find them?
Yeah, if you go over to Penny Arcade Television, you can find Extra Credits, which is a show about doing more with games and about game design, because we, on a weekly basis, on every Tuesday, I guess it's Tuesday at midnight, so technically Wednesday, we explore from an industry perspective sort of how these games get built, what are the design ideas that go into them, and then the larger social issues that roll out of us as a gaming community. And beyond that, you can always come hang out in one of my classes at DigiPen. But honestly, if you're in Ontario this weekend, I'm going to be at Con Bravo this weekend. I've got like 4 or 5 talks there, and yeah, come ask me anything you want. It'll be fun. That's about it from me.
Yay!
We have a statement regarding the FOV slider in Payday 2.
Oh,
it's here
goodness.
from Elmir, the developer from Overkill. Can people calm down about the FOV slider? Thanks. You remember the purpose of a beta, right? Just making sure. Thanks to everyone who brought up the FOV slider issue in a civilized manner without yelling refund. I appreciate it, and we will look into implementing it. Please spread the word that we are investigating the implementation of FOV slider. And I think that it's sort of in between these lines, it's like, please don't kill us, TotalBiscuit. Please call off the hounds. All right. Get it into your bloody game, and I'll stop complaining. It was in your first one. You got no excuse.
This is the problem. I love it, but this is actually a problem that as we start demanding that we get to play games early and earlier in cycle because we can patch them, right?
That's
as
very
we start
true.
delivering games through Steam and all this stuff, there are going to be parts missing. And as a developer, oh my God, getting all that flooding mail telling you need to do these things. And yeah, we know, but we're not there yet. And
beta is beta, for the love of God.
TB is the problem.
I'm not the problem. I say beta is beta all the time. As soon as the game comes out and it sucks, that's when I ravage it. You can do whatever you want before that. That's fine. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
I think you just went against what you said you do, because you called them out on it in beta. Yes,
but I then said it's currently in beta. The problem is, Jesse, you only listen to half of what I say. That's the main problem. It's like, yes, he said this, and then you just like,
You did it, James. You tore the family apart.
You're the valve of reviewers.
That's what I figured is why you
So we're
going
to just have a parallel conversation while they yell at each other?
I'm going to have someone greenlight your face, Jesse. That's how it's going to be.
Whoa. Getting so real.
Valve of reviewers.
Can you just drop that mic and walk out?
It's attached. It's not gonna work. I'll find a mic. I've got spare mics. I'll find one to drop and then walk out. That'll be fine. I'm not dropping this. It's too expensive. All right. Anyway, yes. So, what am I doing? I would like to remind people, if you are watching the VOD of this, that my video for Shadowrun will be out. It is about 43 minutes long. It is fairly in-depth, as it usually is for stuff like that. So please do check that out if you want an impression of Shadowrun. If you're watching the VOD, it should already be out. If you're watching the live stream, it's supposed to be out at midnight. There's currently a bit of disagreement as to when the embargo is. So I need to have a words with the PR agency again. And I could just selectively ignore it, but I don't like making enemies in this industry, so it's not a very good idea. They said EDT to me twice. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so what else? There'll be the usual stuff. Content patch is up and running, usually 5 days a week, assuming there's actually enough news to fill it. That's always nice. Sometimes it's just too boring a day, so we just don't do it. I'm sorry. It's how it is. That's how it is. I would like to point people in the direction of our new series, Roleplay Dark Heresy, which is pen and paper. Over on youtube.com/itmejp, we are playing the Warhammer 40,000 role-playing game by the name of Dark Heresy, and it is as hilarious as you would expect. The other people playing are DJ Wheat, In Control from Team Evil Geniuses, StarCraft team, and JP. And only 2 of them know anything about 40k, so it's about as interesting as you might expect. The game master for that is actually Steve Lumpkin, who is a level designer on the forthcoming MMO Eternal Crusade. So, yes, he is working on the upcoming 40k MMO, and hopefully it won't be terrible, as we keep frequently reminding him. The next episode of that live stream is probably going to be in about 2 weeks, because Steve, unfortunately, is out of town. So you can go and watch the part over on youtube.com/itmejp. It's good. I also have the first part up on my channel, kind of as a promo for it, so you can go watch it there if you prefer not to give JP money, which is understandable. And is there anything else?
JP.
JP. JP all the time.
Brand new Shabuzi.com. You should go there. It looks great.
It does look good. I went and looked.
Good to know. And aside from that, I'm just thinking there'll be the usual stuff. A couple more alpha strikes are expected. I will be looking into a couple of games that are blatantly not finished yet. And I might even look at L-Sword, actually, because that's interesting me. And I probably won't look at NASCAR the Game 2013, because I hate them.
I will.
Yeah, you feel free to do that. And I'll probably look at Raven the Master Thief as well, because that's actually surprisingly engaging. And maybe there'll be a new PlanetSide video if I get enough time to actually play it this week and fully digest all of the changes. That's what you can expect from me over the course of the next 7 or so days. And as regards to co-optional plays, we have no idea when that's starting. I'm not going to give you a promise. It will begin when we feel like it, and we'll probably build up several episodes before starting, because I have a feeling it'll go off the rails very quickly. So always good to know. Do check out youtube.com/Polaris if you have not already. If you are seeing this podcast on Polaris, well, this is where it lives now, so it's really as simple as that.
Polaris is my 3rd channel, so I would definitely appreciate
pretty much,
you coming and hanging
it's
out.
the Dodger channel, where Dodger's in pretty much every damn show on it right now.
It won't always be like that, I promise.
No, it is going to change. They're just kind of rolling out shows at a reasonable rate. A big shout out, of course, to everyone that supported the Pacific Rim Training Day video that we're in. That's now past 1 million views, so that's pretty cool. It is some great Power Ranger style camp. What can I say?
A lot of people love it. You should too.
Yep, it also has Robert Kaczynski in it, and there's a
He was very nice. I met him at Comic-Con.
Yes, he used to watch my WoW videos before he got famous, as it turns out.
Yeah,
I know.
I might have heard that he was a fan, and I might have had to take a moment.
Yep.
I ran into him at the Dark Horse booth, and I was like, "Hey, I was at a thing with you."
With you, yeah.
And he, like, immediately was just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for letting me do that. Like, I love TB and Jesse. Like, I'm so glad I got to be in that." And I was like,
I'm gonna have to leave before my ego expands outside of the overlay.
It's like, what? This is awesome.
No, he's actually great, and I will support that movie till the end of damn time. That's gonna happen. Apparently, it was #1 internationally this week, which is fantastic.
I know, right?
It's like,
good on them.
Please support movies that tap into my childlike essence. Not enough of them do that anymore. You know, it's so nice to see that. And also there is a special surprise at the end of that video for those of you who haven't watched it yet. I think you'll love that. So yeah, Pacific Rim Training Day, currently available on youtube.com/Polaris. And I think that wraps us up for the show. If you wish to follow us, I would suggest you do so on Twitter. Sounds like a pretty good idea. That's TotalBiscuit or Cynical Brit if you wish to avoid all of my bollocks and just wish to hear about the shows that are coming out. Dex Bonus for Dodger, Jesse Cox and OMFG Kata for Jesse and James Portnow. And you should also, of course, follow the Extra Credits guys over at Extra... It's just Extra Credits, isn't it, if I recall correctly?
With a Z.
With a Z, yes.
Somebody swatting Extra Credits with an S, and we can't get Twitter to get rid of them.
Yep.
They have one tweet.
Yeah, not that I would suggest horribly harassing them or anything. No, don't do that. It's not their fault. Yep, extra credits with a Z, ladies and gentlemen, for that one. Please do go and follow them. And, of course, check out the weekly show over at Penny Arcade TV.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much us done.
Done?
Watch our YouTube channels. It's how we pay rent. Please.
Yay!
Thanks for watching, folks. Good night. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.